All right, guys, we're live again. It is Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Everybody's favorite time, everybody's favorite podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm your host, Moff. We got my buddy Spencer here in the house, and we have a really interesting panel tonight for you guys as every woman coming on. And we should have maybe one or two stragglers. I know there was, that's why we started a little bit late, but we should have maybe one or two more joining us. But every woman on the panel tonight is a repeat guest. So we're going to try some new things. We're going to see sort of, what works. We're going to go ahead and try to maybe throw some things out there. Spencer's got some clips that he's got queued up. We get the ladies' opinions. But yeah, really quick, ladies, for maybe people that haven't seen the show or they don't know about you, let's just do a quick round of intros. Give us your name, your age, where you're from, what you do, and your relationship status. Let's start with Angie.
What was it again? Name? Angie. Age 34, and I'm a full-time girlfriend.
Full-time girlfriend. Got you. I'm being told my mic sounds weird, so I need to change. Now it should be better. Can everybody hear me better? Is that better?
That's way better.
Sometimes it defaults to my head. Cool. All right. Good stuff. We should be good. Camila, on you.
All right. My name is Camila. I'm 22, and I am not single. I'm in a relationship for 7 years, and I'm from Tampa.
And you're still a student, yeah?
And I'm still a student.
Okay. Aaron, just give me a thumbs up. You're backstage whenever you're ready to go. All right, cool. Oh, Jesus. All right.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry.
Okay. Right.
I don't know what went
it's
down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All good. We're live now, so don't worry about it.
Cool.
Okay. It's your intro time. Name, age, where you're from, what you do, relationship status.
Me? I missed so much. Sorry.
She just hammers it as soon as she joins.
To the party. All right. Well, okay. My name's Erin. I'm 35. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. Relationship. I have a boyfriend, and excited to be back again.
Yeah, this is like your third time back, I think.
No, I'm a veteran now. Yeah.
You and Camila 3 times back. Natalie, this is your second. Angie, this is your third, and Jada, this will be your second. So, Jada, why don't we kick it to you next?
My name is Jada. I'm 26. I am married. Been married 5 years. I am a marriage coach, more just like a relationship coach, life coach, all around, but I implement that. And then I am from California, but live in Texas now. So.
Okay, awesome. Natalie, round us off.
Yes, I'm Natalie. I'm from Houston, Texas. I host a podcast called That's What He Said that is all about dating, and I'm 31 and single.
Okay, awesome. Let's start here because, Natalie, you and I chatted a little bit about the show. So, Natalie, why don't you do this first? Why don't you tell us what the podcast is about? Tell us a little bit why you started it, why you saw it necessary, and specifically like talking to men, right? Because, and I don't know if this is necessarily what you do. I think maybe you do more of an interview style as opposed to, giving men tips, but maybe you do. But tell me a little bit more about the podcast, what the kind of format is, why you started it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So it's called That's What He Said because the primary focus is getting the male perspective. So most episodes are me interviewing a guy, and there's always like a main topic question that's sort of the focus of the conversation. So it might be something like, why do men ghost? Or the most recent episode was, why are men staying single? And so that's kind of the focus of the conversation. But I designed it that way because there's just this huge gap in the dating world between men and women where like we don't understand them. They don't understand us. We have a very feminist forward culture that has just really turned everything in the dating culture on its head. So it's a place to give men that platform to sort of tell us, what are we doing wrong? What do y'all want? What are y'all thinking? What's the truth about this? And then of course the women speak too. So sometimes there will be episodes with women where we kind of give our feedback and our side of the story as well. But yeah, that's kind of the primary focus of it. I'm not really giving dating tips. That's not my agenda. I don't think that would be the best design either. So it's really all about asking questions.
Smart. Yeah. Cause you and I would have to have a real tough conversation. If that's what it was about. Cool. So, I mean, all right. So let's continue there. So what is maybe what is the prevailing sentiment that you're getting from men? And what's the prevailing sentiment that you're getting from women? Like, what are some of the commonalities that most guys are saying? And what are some of the things that women are saying about maybe what the issues are and the gaps are in dating?
Yeah, gosh, there's a ton, but I would say probably some of the most common ones that women say are just feeling like guys nowadays give very minimal effort and don't want to commit. A lot of that, I think, goes back to how dating has changed with dating apps and the internet. People in general, men and women, feel like there's this infinite amount of options that really doesn't exist. And then on the guy's side, I think a lot of what they say is honestly very similar, like just getting screwed over, feeling like women aren't committed for the right reasons. They're in it for like money, or just kind of seeing like what they can get, like seeking out, like there's always a better guy, there's always a better option. So women don't want to settle with a regular guy, if that makes sense. So that, to use my most recent guest words, he says, just very treacherous out here for guys. So it's kind of both sides telling the same story in a different way. And I think the root of the issue is a lack of communication. Like I said earlier, we don't understand what y'all are thinking and feeling. Y'all may not understand what we're thinking and feeling. So there's just that gap that we're trying to bridge on the show.
So why do you think the gap is communication, and how do we fix that?
Culturally speaking, it goes back to like the feminism. So kind of within the last few decades, putting women on this pedestal, and kind of the premise that what we say is right, and like we're always right, and we should kind of want what we want and get what we want, no matter what that looks like. You know, the Me Too movement, a lot of my guests have talked about that as well, and it makes men feel like they should just kind of like shut up and not do anything. So it's caused guys to sort of mute themselves and women to be too loud. And now we're kind of reaping the consequences of that, because women are going, wait a minute, maybe we don't know best, you know.
Yeah, I get all of that though, but why is communication what fixes
culturally
that?
Like in media and stuff is where the communication breaks down, and it sets the precedent.
Is there a delay here, everybody? Is there a delay for everyone else, or just me?
On her.
I think we have a delay with Natalie.
I think you're quite delayed.
What y'all are thinking?
There's a delay. I don't know if it's like your internet or something's going on, and you're kind of graying out of your video there. I don't know if it's bandwidth or what that issue might be, but yeah, you're pretty slow. Why don't you try and kill your video and see if that helps with the bandwidth a little bit? And if not, maybe we can get you on your phone. Well, now she's loading, yeah. All right.
Well, I mean, on that topic,
go ahead, Spence.
One of the problems that she said there is that people are looking for better options all the time. And if that's really the issue, I don't think communication is going to solve this at all.
Well, I'm curious.
Like,
so I'm curious.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Is it better
But hold
now?
on. It is. Before we go on that route, I want to hear the justification for communication and how that fixes things.
Well, I mean, I think you're jumping to a conclusion. I don't think communication is the fix-all for all of the issues when it comes to dating and relationships that we're having now. It's just one aspect of it. And it being a podcast is an aspect that I can contribute to, having these conversations with men so that we can let them speak and we can learn from the experience, and vice versa. So
But nobody
I'm not
cares
saying
what
that it
men
fixes
say.
everything.
But the whole point is no one gives a shit about what men say, right? No one cares about men's problems. No one cares why men can't find women. Nobody cares why men can't hold down jobs, or why men aren't getting laid, or what they want, because no one cares about the problems of men. So, I mean, like, I don't like expecting a woman to take what a man says and he's like, oh, like if women would just do this, it's like really hard out here, you know, they're like,
why is this guy complaining? Why doesn't he just be better? Why doesn't he just be in better shape or make more money? Or why doesn't he learn better instead of complaining and talking about how hard dating is? Why doesn't he just be better so he's having a better time? Because nobody cares what men think or what they want. Like, we're disposable. They don't care. Like, nobody wants to hear men complain about how he can't get dates. How does that help?
Yeah. I mean, that's a very, like, it's unfortunate to hear you say that. I think a lot of men do feel that way. It's not a true blanket statement. I mean, from
They feel
even
what
just
way?
the small, that nobody cares what y'all think.
No, I'm not saying it's a feeling. It's a fact of life. It's reality. It's the way that our world works. Sperm is plentiful and cheap, and eggs are rare and expensive. Men have always been disposable. Men are sent off to die in war. Men are be the protectors. They're sent to fight off and keep people safe and protect them. Most men's bloodlines and generations have died off. There's a small percentage of men on this planet that have ever procreated or their bloodline has ever survived. It's quite the opposite for women. It's just the reality. It doesn't, but that's kind of the point.
I think that narrative is incorrect. Men are not disposable. We do care what y'all think. Y'all are the builders and foundation of society, and you lead the relationship. You lead in marriage. You lead the family, and that's what we have lost in society. So that's, in my small community that I'm building, the foundation of it is like, hey, we do need men, and you're not disposable. You're extremely valuable and important. And that message needs to be instilled back into our culture, because that's where the problem is.
I think you're an extremely small minority, but again, I don't think this
I would
idea.
agree with that. I would agree with that, and I think that's a problem.
But I don't agree that men being seen as disposable is a new phenomenon. It's always been this way, right? Most men's, like I said, most men's bloodlines have ended. The vast majority of men that ever walked this planet have not. The vast majority of men that ever walked this planet have not procreated. They have not had children. Their legacy has died out. It's only, I think it's something like 40% of men that have ever been born or existed have procreated. Like something where it's like 90+% of women. It's very rare for a woman to go through life and not have kids. It's extremely common for men to go through life and not have kids. And you talk about the entire grand scale of humanity, right? So like monogamy, for example, is an extremely new phenomenon. Like, it's not how it's worked ever. Men have always had multiple women around and had multiple children with different women. It's only till the last 100 or so, or maybe the last few hundred years, that men were beholden to sort of one woman and only having kids with one woman. So that's
if
we're talking about something that's existed as a biological fact for as long as humans have been around.
If I've never heard that before, to be honest, that only 40% of men procreate. So that would be interesting for me to learn more about.
Well,
but
across
if that
the
is
scope
true,
of humanity, not by today's standards. I'm talking about by this, like
Okay.
in the last 100, as long as humans have been around.
Okay. Well, that's
So we're talking thousands of years for that.
Yeah, thousands of years
Anthropologically.
back.
I
Let's say even if that was the case today, which we're saying it's not, I don't think that necessarily means that men are disposable or invaluable. To your point earlier, before we went live, men contribute the majority of what we see in society. I'm in downtown Miami right now. All these buildings around me have been built by men. This building I'm in right now has been built by men. So even if you don't have kids, even though I do think kids and family are super important, that doesn't make men invaluable.
I want to get to that really quick. I want to say this, but I want to get to, first I got to read this chat. Hold on. Every week, this Queen Victoria. I recommend Natalie look up what Queen Victoria and Florence Nightingale said about women. Their views and speeches are brutal compared to what Rich, Moff, and Spence. Also, do you take online guests for your podcast? He wants to come on your podcast, it seems like.
Okay.
I think you do everything in person, don't you?
I do some virtual.
Okay. So, Kizza, maybe you can DM her and apply to get on the in the podcast. I want to get to Camila really quick. Before that,
that'd be an episode.
I want to say my point is that men inherently are disposable. Men are not inherently protected. Women are inherently protected. Women don't have to do anything other than exist, to be the protected class. Men don't have that same luxury. The only reason people care about what men do or care about what men make is if they build something or make something. And so you've got men that are complaining because things are hard or things are difficult, when the only way a man will ever be and has ever been taken seriously is if he's good enough to build or provide something and add value to society. So that's the disconnect. It sounds like these guys they want to be celebrated just because they're men, because they exist, and that's never been the case. Women are celebrated just from existing all the time. It's in their nature, but men are not. Nobody cares about the average man that doesn't add anything to society and just exists. I think that's what we're missing on the mark here. I agree. We need guys that can build infrastructure. We need guys that can maintain roads and that can maintain the electrical system, the plumbing system, all of that good stuff. But the average guy that's never done anything or can't be valuable, complaining that he can't get women, I don't have a shred of sympathy for that guy. I want to let you respond to that, but I want to get to Camila first. I know you had something.
I wanted to say an example that I thought of, like, about how nobody cares about men's feelings. My boyfriend had a friend that was in this relationship, and this relationship ended catastrophically. Okay, but what the girl would do in the relationship is that, like, when she would see his friend upset, right? Like, he'd be upset or whatever, she'd be like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And he's like, "Oh, like, nothing. Like, I don't want to talk about it." And then she's like, No, tell me. You can tell me. And she'd basically, like, make him tell her what was wrong with him. And, like, since he's, like, upset about it and he's kind of being vulnerable to her, he would kind of, like, sometimes, like, cry or, like, be upset and, like, she'd comfort him. But then, like, they kind of ended getting, like, that kind of ended with her not liking him anymore. Like, she just kind of, like, lost the attraction to him, but she would be the one, like, making him do it. Like, she'd be like, "Do it, like, tell me what's wrong." And then he'd tell her what's wrong, cry, and then she'd be like, "Hey." It's terrible. I mean, he now knows to never do that again.
Yeah, what do the ladies think about that? You think it's cool when your boyfriend cries? Do you want to see that? Do you want to see him, being emotional and that kind of thing? Is that a turn on for you? Does it make you feel closer to him? Jada, why don't we start with you?
Oh, well, my husband has cried to me and everything. I don't think it's like a turn on. It's just you're dealing with childhood wounds, like, what everybody else, but he also knows to work hard. I kind of agree. I think last time I was on here, the other guest said something. It's like, it just sounds fluffy, and I've just been taught by the men in my life, like, it all sounds cute and like a fantasy, but it's not real life. So, like, I think what Camila's saying too and what you said.
What's the fantasy? What do you mean?
That people care about men, like with my husband, like, yeah, if he cries and stuff, like, I'm there, but at the same time I do have expectations, just like he has expectations from me of, like, you got to make sure we're doing our roles and we're stepping up to the plate and what he's expecting from me as the wife and what I'm hoping he's doing as the husband. So,
Angie, what do you think? Oh, sorry, Jada, finish your thought.
Oh, if that just kind of answers everything a little bit.
Okay, Angie, go ahead.
The right thing to say is, yes, I care, but honestly, it's not how it works, right? Like,
the right thing to say is yes, but that's not the truth.
Yeah. So, like, men in my life has never cried in front of me. So let's just put it that way. Like, the one that cried is my ex-boyfriend. So
what does that tell you?
That just answers your question.
He's the ex-boyfriend for a reason.
Not say it's because he cried, but it's a pattern of, it shows that he's not competent, taking care of what he needs to take care of.
Yeah, and I think, like, people have, to have a perfect relationship, you gotta know you gotta have a structure and roles and responsibility, and a part of it is don't cry in front of me, not because I don't love you, is because to keep my respect to you, don't friend to me. That's why you have your manhood, your friends, not me. Like, I have my girlfriends to be doing girls things. You have your men to talk about your men's problem, because I won't be able to help you. But I'm here for you. I'll cook for you. I'll make sure you come home to a 5-star house. You know what I mean? But those stuff, emotional stuff, you got to talk with another man, because I might not be the best person to talk to, because I will give you girls advice that is not useful to you. Like, it's just, that's why, you know, you got to have structure to have a perfect relationship. That's what I think.
Aaron?
It feels like you're kind of shouldering their problems when they cry. It's like you can't manage whatever's going on, and I get it. You probably need help from a friend, but from a relationship, when you like dump all of that on your girlfriend or wife or whatever, it just feels like the leader is caving. Like this is like and then all of a sudden you're taking on their stress and you're taking on their problems, and you're like, oh no, like, you know what I mean? It just feels a little bit like it's imploding. So that's why when men cry around me, I kind of feel like, oh, the world's ending. Like I can't handle it, because it's like this stronghold is like not that strong. So I don't know. I get it if you need to cry, but just don't cry in front of me. So just, yeah, that's my preference.
Yeah, I mean, like if he's too emotional around you, it shows a crack in the foundation. He can't be the leader that you want him to be, and so he's not as attractive anymore.
No, I view it as like, oh no, like the ship is sinking, like it's panicking.
Yeah.
So
Natalie, do you have guys that come on the podcast and talk about they wish they want to be vulnerable, or they shared stories of being vulnerable and emotional with women and this has happened, or is this something that these men want? Like, is this something they're telling you that no? Okay.
No,
So mainly
no.
it's mainly that women have this hubris, or that their standards are too high. That's sort of the main thing, the main complaint these guys have.
I would say it's a common one. I'm gonna say a cliche and like everybody go watch the show because it's just very complex. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we dive into, but like if I cherry pick a couple of episodes, like as far as what we just covered, yeah, he talked a lot about women being treacherous and like getting ghosted, and women moving on because they feel like there's the next best thing, and guys can't, like, they feel inadequate. And I do think part of that is women having too high of expectations. I do think women don't. I think we speaking for the collective, like we have expectations that are too high in certain areas and too low in other areas, and it's imbalanced. And so guys are just being like, what, like, we don't know what to do with this, so we're just going to be single and do nothing.
What are the examples of too high in what area and too low in what area?
I think too high, definitely. I hear a lot of talks about money. So, you know, the whole like Pilates princess concept and expecting a guy to make a certain amount. I actually just recently did an episode with a guy who's a financial wealth advisor, and we like really dove into it, like logistically. You know, they're only like 1.9% of Americans are making $200,000 or more. And he said that that's kind of the bare minimum a man would need to make to be the sole provider for the home. Like, you know, he's earning and the wife is not. He's providing for a wife and 2 kids is how we broke it down. So 1.9% is not very good odds. And so women having the expectation for men to be able to provide a certain caliber of lifestyle for them, while that may be ideal and maybe in the past was possible when homes costed $20,000, and it's just not realistic. So I think when it comes to finances, we need to sort of adjust our standards in certain ways. As far as raising standards in others, I think, you know, no longer accepting like situationships, setting boundaries, like declaring what you expect as far as respect in a relationship and sticking to that. And men will then in turn respect you more as well. And then not lowering and raising your own standards for yourself. Like women doing OnlyFans, you don't even respect yourself. You know, how do you expect men to respect you? So that's what I mean when I say it needs to be raised in certain areas and lowered in others. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's not really about respect, is it? Like, men don't need to respect their woman to be in love with her. They don't need to respect their woman to be attracted to her and want to date her. Like the reason men are turned off from OnlyFans is not because they don't respect it. It's because it's not disrespect, it's disgust. Because a promiscuous woman in our monkey brain, in our lizard brain, it's very easy to see why promiscuity. First of all, promiscuity in women is terrible for the good of society. When you don't know who your children are, or when men don't know who their children are, like things fall apart. It leads, the degeneracy, like every major societal collapse has been preceded with sexual degeneracy. And I think we're there. But this idea that it's like, well, he won't, like, here's an example. Women love to say, don't sleep with a guy on the first date because he won't respect you, or I want a guy to respect me, so I don't sleep with them. And it's like nonsense. We don't like there's no reason, like respect doesn't even come into the equation. The reason we don't like OnlyFans girls is because we know that it's the promiscuous act, and promiscuity leads to potential cheating, multiple partners, raising kids that aren't ours, being cuckolded essentially. And that's a real problem, right? I mean, there's research that shows that anywhere from 10 to 33% of children are being raised by dads that didn't father them, and the dads don't know. So, I mean, again, like,
what are your thoughts about sex on the first date?
I think a guy who has options is unlikely to wait. I think that, hell, I talked to Halston about this, I guess last week or 2 weeks ago. You can, let's say, because we get this criticism a lot. It's like, well, you tell women they need to sleep with men, and then you rail on women about body count. Like, you need to pick a point, pick a slant. And like, I understand that, but that's a misinterpretation of what we're saying. Halston's problem, she saw a guy for 3 dates or 2 dates, and he was expecting something to happen, and nothing happened. What men really want, men don't necessarily have to have sex on the very first date. I think anybody that says they have to have sex on the first date, I think they're lying to you. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I think what men really want is to see sexual interest from you on a progressive scale, right? So maybe you don't go all the way on the first night. Maybe, like, to be crude, I said this to Halston. I was like, maybe you do some hand stuff. Like maybe you just take care of the guy, right, on date number 1, because we know that the idea of penetration is really what matters when it comes to sex. Right, that's what flips on the dopamine receptors, and that's what flips on the oxytocin release in the brain for women. All that other stuff, not so much. Like, women can get aroused and all that kind of stuff, but doing the foreplay kind of stuff does not have the same release of the brain chemicals as actual sexual intimacy and intercourse. We just know that biologically. So, I mean, if there's a reason for a guy to keep coming back and he's progressing, that's the best way to keep a guy around. So I don't have a problem with it. I think if women want to sort of maintain their purity as long as possible, or not give away the chips right off the bat, you find a way to be sexually interested in him, and you show that to a point where he's like, okay, well, because here's the deal. We talked about this too. A guy doesn't even know if he wants to be around you or hang out with you, or if he even likes you, until some sort of sexual act has happened, essentially until sexual release. We call it post-nut clarity, right? I don't know if there's a better term for it, but essentially that is the litmus test of a guy. And if he wants to still hang out with you or be around you, or if he goes, oh man, this chick was really hot 10 minutes ago, and I was really interested in what she said. She was super funny and interesting, and now I don't want to be in the same room as her, right? So I know it's kind of a roundabout answer. Again, I don't have a problem with it. Do I think it's the most useful strategy for women if they want to find a guy? No, because you could rack up a notch count very quickly. And it behooves you to be discerning for who you're going to lay down with. But I think that the best strategy women can take is having, again, exhibiting and showing sexual interest, and on a progressive scale.
Yeah, I like the way that you're describing that as sexual interest, because that leaves it open. Like, you can do that in many different ways. But the consensus that I've heard from the guys that I talk to is that having sex on the first date, and maybe you kind of using different verbiage is good too. It's not really about respect, but it sort of disqualifies her now from being seen as wife material.
Insane. It's an
That's-
insane answer.
That's
I will never take a guy
guys feel that way.
seriously.
No.
I think they're lying. I think they're lying because they're trying to. I honestly do. No, I honestly think they're complete liars. And I think it's because they're on a live show. And I think they don't want to be seen as degenerates or players or anything else. It's like, no, like, because men want to be seen as we care about purity also. Men don't want to be, a lot of times men don't want to tell the truth. It's the same way there's a lot of guys out there that think women with degrees, it makes them hotter, or they love a woman that brings home the bacon, and they love the boss babe, or they love a girl that, you know, has an attitude, because it's bull. It's not reality. So I don't take that seriously at all when a guy says, if a girl will jump into bed with me right away, that disqualifies her from long term. That is something that a guy says who is not used to or has never experienced. It's validational sex. That is a guy who spent a lifetime of, I'm blanking, Spence. What are we talking about here? It's not validational, but transactional, right? So a man, and most men will live their entire lives without ever experiencing enthusiastic validational sex from a woman that really wanted to have sex with them. It's extreme. It's rare, and you wouldn't think so, but most guys are getting laid via transaction, because it's a way for women to keep their hooks in him, or it's a way to keep them married, or a way to just placate him because he won't shut up about not getting laid. So those are the kind of guys, like guys with experience and have dated a lot of women and that have bedded a lot of women, especially early. They know that they're the X factor. What's more likely? If I date 100 women and I take 80 of them to bed on the first night, that 80% of women in my sample size are sluts, or that I've just got some good game and I'm an attractive man that women want to sleep with? I think it's overwhelmingly the latter.
Yeah, it's like, if a guy is saying that he won't take a woman seriously because she slept with him on the first date, it's like, to me, that is just a cope from that guy. That's a guy who probably did try to have sex on the first date and didn't get it from girls.
Sour grapes.
So,
Sour grapes.
Yeah. So now he's coming up with some reason to make himself feel better. He's calling a girl a slut, but she never slept with him. So, like, what does that even say about him? He's just saying it because it makes him feel better. That it makes him feel like he rejected her. Meanwhile, he was probably the guy getting rejected in the first place.
And the final point on that really quick before we, either get some other, I want to get some other thoughts on this conversation, what you all think about, first date sex, all that kind of thing too. But this is also, a man with options, and a man who has bedded women on the first date more often than not, or with some degree of success. The reason why men don't necessarily I don't take a man seriously who is okay with being told that he has to wait for sex, especially by a woman who has gone home with a man on the bar, or slept with him on the first date, or has had a one-night stand and a drunken hookup. Men really don't want to pay full price for what other men have gotten for free, or a hefty, steep discount. It's just, again, I don't take guys seriously who will wait or be told that they need to wait to 3 dates, or there's rules or things like that, because only guys that women aren't really interested in are being told to wait. If you're the right guy at the right time, you don't have to wait. Women will be all over you. And that's why also I don't necessarily buy into these complaining guys that are talking about women's standards are too high. Yeah, are they different than they have been 50, 60 years ago? Sure. Has the globalization of the sexual marketplace made it so very average women think they're superstar 10 out of 10s? Sure. But guys have no other choice. Complaining that women's standards are too high ain't going to get them laid. It's not going to get them what they want out of women. Only getting better, becoming more attractive, becoming more competent, making more money, being the man that she needs him to be or wants him to be, that's the only thing that's going to fix his problems.
Guys are always in competition at every moment of their life. The reality is, in the Olympics, no one cares about the guy who came in fourth. No one gives a shit if you're not on the podium in the Olympics. Same thing with men every single day. No one cares if you're the loser. You have to level yourself up. That's the only way to actually get the success you want.
Yeah. I'm going to have to chew on what you're saying about the first date and come back to it.
What do the ladies think? Angie, what do you think on this?
Which one? First date? Sex?
And, well, yeah, all of the above. I don't know if somebody's scrolling or scratching something, but there's a noise in my ear that will not stop. Is that you, Spence? Angie, what do you think?
Well, I think I agree with Spencer. Life as a man is very, very hard because I see my boyfriend. He's like a top bloke. I'm very lucky, and his life is very hard. The people he has to deal with is very hard. His work is very hard. You know, having like 40 employees you got to take care of is very hard. Like, and his dad had a heart attack last year, and I went to ICU, and literally every single person on that bed are men, and I really have it in my heart that men's life is very hard. That's why they, when they get older, they overcome all these health problems because life is hard for them. I agree with that.
Jada?
We're talking about the women that sleep with someone on the first date.
I think the question is more like, what do you think about my approach, maybe? Because, what do you think of my answer to, because again, I'm accused of this a lot where I say, and I've never said, women, you need to start sleeping with guys on the first date. People like to misinterpret that and say that I do, because I say generally a man with options is not going to be made to wait. He's not going to wait around. You got to give him a little bit of a taste of something. Give him an appetizer. You might have to give the entree up and the dessert, but man, let him play around in the lobby, and then you can take him up to the rooftop. I don't know how many damn metaphors I got to use for this, but instead of, and I know that like your platform very heavily on marriage, and I know you've got heavily, I would say, values heavily influenced by Christianity. I believe in God and that sort of thing. But does that come into play at all? Are you a wait till marriage? Is that how you kind of do some of your counseling? It's like, I mean, what do you just think about my approach where it's like, yeah, maybe you don't get it away right away, but give him a little bit of taste and kind of let him know that you're sexually interested before you potentially lose him?
Yeah, I would say my approach would be waiting till marriage is going to be the best option. Obviously, we live in a society that's harder to get to, but I think
really
that
quick before you keep going. So like, but are the women that you're telling this to, are they still waiting for marriage, or have they lost their virginity already, for example?
Yeah, so they would have lost their virginity most.
So that's kind of the rub, right? So it's like you are telling women to, and I don't mean this to be accusatory, but what women are hearing is make the guy wait, even though make a guy I really like, make him wait till marriage. I want to save it, but it's already been given away to somebody else outside of marriage. So as a guy that wants to take a woman seriously and a guy who's got options, he's like, you've given this up to somebody else for free, but I've got to wait, and then I've got to pay full price for, I don't mean to sound crass, but I'm paying for something new. Like I'm paying new prices for old goods or used goods. I apologize for the woke mob about that, but do you understand kind of how that is sort of not contradictory, but how that's tough to reconcile?
Yeah, I've heard that argument before. I think when you're practicing till marriage, you're waiting till marriage, I'm sorry, it's showing that you're practicing self-discipline, because I think I've counseled women who did have sex with multiple people and then maybe got with their husband a little early. And I have one woman who they ended up separated, and because of that, just more quick to giving it up before prior, when they were separated, she slept with someone. So versus like when you've already practiced at least for years in between celibacy, when you go through hard times, I think you've already like shown yourself that you can be disciplined and not run to another man's arms when your man or your husband or whatever is hurting you. Even like I know women who their man has stepped out and they didn't choose to do that because they practice celibacy, and they said, I'm not going to go match behavior or do anything. Like I'm going to just be with the Lord, be with God, pray over this circumstance and get counseling. So I think it's more of just practicing celibacy that helps like the sexual discipline in itself, if that makes sense.
I want to come back to you on the marriage piece, but I want to get around to the rest of the panel first.
Okay.
Camila, I have to write down Cameeeela, so I'll always remember to pronounce it correctly.
I think
What
it
do you?
was
I mean,
right.
like I said Camilla when I introduced you, and I was like, shit. So, but what do you think about this approach? What do you think about this? I know that I know that you've been in a relationship for basically your entire adult and adolescent life. But let's say, is this advice that you would give to a girlfriend who's just like, I don't want to lose this guy, but I like him a lot. Like, what do I do if how am I going to lock down a guy and get what you have, Camila, where I've got a guy that I'm head over heels in love with, and he's my shining star. How do I do that without making sure that I'm losing myself in the process sexually?
Well, in terms of celibacy, I mean, if you're someone who is religious and wants to do that, there are definitely, I think, men, although there's only like a very small minority of men that want to do that, probably. There might be someone for you that wants to practice that too. But I think also like the reason why celibacy, I don't know if I'm right on this, but this is what I think, right? Celibacy back then was more so a way for women to not have children out of wedlock and then be stranded without support. So the whole point of celibacy is like waiting until you're secure in a marriage, like this guy's not leaving, you're married, right? And now you can have children without like being like, oh no, where's the dad? The dad's gonna run away, right? So now that we're like, I mean, that still kind of applies in my opinion, but I feel like in today's world, what matters more is not just like being celibate, is more so like not having so many partners sexually. I think I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with the sex on the first date. I don't think that's like a problem because at the end of the day, if you are on the first date and you're like crazy for each other, it's just gonna come naturally. Like you can't do anything about it. Like why like prevent yourself from fulfilling what you want to do naturally? Like if it feels right, it's right in my opinion. Like unless you're drunk or something. If you're drunk, then maybe not.
Can we really trust because we don't have to get Francesca back in here to talk about making decisions based on feelings, right? So, I mean, it's like, can we really be discerning if we're just making decisions based on feel? And I get it. Women want to be in the fairy tale and they want to be swept off their feet. And when it feels right, it's right and that sort of thing. But, you find a guy that knows basic practical female psychology and he knows the right things to say and the right moves to make. How do you know, like if he's in it for just the one and done, that sort of thing?
I mean, I feel like my situation doesn't apply very well to this topic.
Right, no,
I'm kind of inexperienced because I mean, I started dating my boyfriend. I started dating my boyfriend at 14, right? I did him at 14, and I did say to him, because when we first found out we liked each other, it was more so like we just really didn't know each other that well. We just kind of sat across from each other in class.
Yeah, you thought each other were cute.
So
about it.
what I said, he like as soon as he found out I liked him, he wanted to go on a date with me. And it sounds kind of weird, but I said like, no, I want to talk to you first because I don't want to go on a date with someone that I know I don't have any sort of chemistry with because I had not really talked with him all that much. So then we kind of talked to each other. It just perfectly happened that he had to go on a trip somewhere for a week. So then that entire week we spent texting each other, finding out everything about each other. And then once I understood, like, okay, I have really good chemistry with him. We get along very well. Let's go on a date. And even
Yep, go ahead, please.
And even still, I still waited. And I feel like it's because I was 14. Like, I didn't want to have sex yet at 14, in my opinion. I wanted to wait a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I waited till I was like 15. Yes. I waited till at least I was 15, but I mean, again.
Ladies watching, raise that higher.
Yeah,
so
like
young, my God.
I explained it very well to him. Like, I don't want to rush this because I'm like not ready for this yet. That was a big problem too at the start of our relationship because he was a little bit older than me and he had like he was like 2 years older, so he had like more of that like craving for sex.
Yeah, he's a 16-year-old boy. I mean, my God, yeah.
Yeah.
He also has insanely more testosterone than you have.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, we got through it for sure, but it was definitely like rough in that moment because I feel like the age difference was kind of difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think what matters most is making sure, like, because I see a lot of people. I mean, I understand that you can't help it. Sometimes people go on dates with each other and like they don't know anything about each other. Like they're gonna know each other's names and crap like that at the date, right? I personally would have to be swept off my feet if I was single, like swept absolutely off my feet to like have sex on the first date. Like it would have to be something that compels me. Like I wouldn't just be like, all right, let's get it going. Like just because it's a first date. Like,
no girl talks like that ever. All right.
It would have to be. It would have
tell
to
you've
be
been out of the
some
game for a long time. All right, that's fair. I mean, no, listen now. Before I get to Aaron, Spence, you talk to a girl, you match with her on a dating app, chat her up, think she's cute. Hey, let's meet for a drink. I want to text a little bit first and see if we connect or vibe first. What's the next? What's your move? You putting up with that?
I'm not doing it.
Is that a hard next?
Next. Let's talk in person. I'm probably not even replying to that, or like maybe I'll reply with like let's talk in person. That's about it. I'm not investing all that time into someone, and like they won't even come and meet me in person. Like, really? Like they're taking all my time texting them. And
Camila, I get your point, right? I understand from your perspective, and I obviously like you're not single, like you've been doing this for a really long time, and you did that when you were 14, right? So, but like what we've seen so many times when women say that, it's almost always an indicator of low interest, that she's not really serious because she's busy entertaining other options, hoping they work out, and she's kind of keeping a guy on the back burner. So if you're giving any dating advice, I hope you're not, but I wouldn't tell them to text him for a week or 2 weeks and go on vacation. I know you're talking about your experience, but yeah, I get you.
I'm not saying that's what people should do now, because obviously like 14 to like you're above 18 now, like you don't have, a classmate that you don't really like, you want to get to know better. But what I do think is like, if you're going on a date, maybe don't have, getting laid as like your goal. Right? Now, if at the end of the day, things went perfectly, you guys are like really into each other, right? I wouldn't like just say like, oh, negate yourself, the sex. Don't do it. I mean, just do it. Like, assess the situation logically. Think like, what has he said to me tonight? Okay, he said this.
Assess the situation logically, huh?
Assess the situation. Like, if he's like a hunk, but you can tell that man's ran through, right? He's just like, because you can kind of get that vibe sometimes. Like sometimes
girls like guys that are ran through. Girls like guys that are experienced. Girls like guys. They don't want it rubbed in their face. But indicators that a guy doesn't get good looking. A guy doesn't get suave or charming or funny or witty without a lot of practice. Like the majority of men, the majority of men that women are attracted to, the majority of men that women are attracted to, the ones that they're attracted to they're generally very experienced. I mean, it's just, and that comes from confidence, comes from competence. So it's like, I love when women say like, oh, we care about body count in men. It's like, yeah, you really don't though. I mean, you care about being protected from diseases. You care about having women that are in love with him, like beating down your door at 3 a.m. when they find your Instagram, but you don't really care how many guys he's been with. It's not a negative thing like it is for guys. You're just like, oh, whatever, as long as it's not thrown in my face or there's going to be any repercussions, because you don't want to be with a guy that's got no experience. And again, I know your situation's different. I know you're a literal teenager, but it's like, I get it. I get where we're coming from. I want to get to
be fair, when I was 14, I was making that mistake and giving away a ton of attention, texting a girl for weeks before seeing her. Totally. But now it's like you learn that lesson as a guy, and you don't do that after you have some experience. I got a really good clip on this if you want to.
I want to finish going around the circle first. I want to get Aaron's thoughts. She's been sitting very patient. Because Aaron, you went through this recently. Like, you long-term relationship, for the guys that don't know, long-term relationship of many years. You walked out of that, ended that. You found a new dude relatively quickly. So, like, you don't have to tell us the story about it, but, I mean, maybe lean on your personal experience. Maybe you don't. I don't care. What are your overall thoughts towards this method?
For sex on the first date specifically?
Either sex on a first date, or if not, are you like making sure the guy feels like he's gratified, or you give him a little something? Like, what your whole thing? What's your whole thing on the thing?
Well, what happened to me was I was in a long-term relationship that we both had different like long-term goals for the future. I wanted like to get married and have kids and have more of a traditional life. And the person I had been with for a long time decided they didn't want that. So I, broke up with him, and it was like this really, I was scared and also like really motivated to find someone who had the same values I do. And so then when I went on the date with my boyfriend now, and we kind of didn't do a lot of the small talk, like first date, like kind of just, small talk. It was like kind of going for the big questions, like, what are you looking for? Like, what do you want in a woman? What do you, just stuff that we weren't really wasting any time. So when we figured out that, oh, you have the same interests and values that I do, and we have the same vision of the future, and it's like, oh, this is what I want. This is what I've been wanting and what I need. So once I got all that kind of in my mind, and I could like, oh, I feel so much better now. Like, then I started to be like more of, I would definitely like want to have sex on the first date, because it's just a natural like alignment and progression with something I'm very already attracted to. It wasn't.
That guy could have been lying, right? I mean, he could have said all the right things and whispered sweet nothings in your ear and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So like you were taking a risk, right? So it's like,
yes,
I mean, I don't know who came up with this. Shout out to Myron, but it's like there's something that goes around and say, hey, listen. Men fall in love with what they see. Women fall in love with what they hear. That's why women wear makeup and men lie, right? So, but it looks like it worked out for you. But
it did, it was a risk, though. It was definitely. I feel like, but like,
there's a lot of women out there
said,
that are taking that risk, and it's not working out for them. And then and that's why they're winding up with, maybe they rack up. That's when they like, oh, well, I added 10 notches to my account or 15 notches to my account, because women can get dates. Women pick up men like my socks pick up dirt, right? So, and if you're only going on dates generally that you're attracted, guys you're attracted to, and every woman's got a story out there being like, yeah, like I thought he was one thing, but turned out he's a player and a man whore or whatever, ran through. And so if you do, I mean, you can rack up a notch count really quickly. So it's like, you ran a risk and it worked out, but I don't think the majority of women would share that experience. I think a lot of women would have quite the opposite, where they're like, oh yeah, he said all these great things, and he said he was going to call me, and he said he could see himself in the future with me, and then he left. Right. Well,
and to be fair, like, we didn't have sex on the first date, but that was going through my mind at the time. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like, so that didn't actually happen, but it was, I feel like I had to get the green light on all these other things, and then I would consider it. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, well, okay, you passed this, and now we're going to move on to this. So
but he had the green light if he had put the moves on you. Did he just not make it happen?
No, he did. Like, he kissed me on the first date, which was great, but we didn't like
moves. But yeah,
but I also felt like I felt good about what was going on, and I think I had also wanted so much what I was getting and what I kind of was missing in my old relationship for so long. I was like ready to get it. I'm like, oh, you're actually listening to me. Like, you're paying attention to what I'm saying. So I was kind of ready to meet not only a new person, but the right kind of person. And I feel like you said, I think I just lucked out there. So
I gotta say this too, though, because I've gotta nitpick something there at the end. And then Spence, I think we can get to that. Unless Natalie wants to say one more closing thought on this subject before we move to that, which I'll absolutely let you. I gotta nitpick a little bit of thing here, because women love to do this. Women love to say, hey, the way into my pants is to listen to me and to listen to what I say and tell me about how many kids you want and you're everything that I'm looking for and you're nice and you communicate. And all of that is all fine, well, and good. But you only care about those things from a man that you're attracted to, right? So, and I'm not saying you're leaving that part out, but I think a lot of men hear things like that. They're like, oh, well, I got to listen to her, and I got to make sure I'm on her plan, and that I want the same amount of kids, and I'm really nice, and I'm a sympathetic guy, and I listen to all these stories, and therefore that equals arousal and her wanting to sleep with me, which isn't really the case, because you could have had a homeless dude sitting across from you who did all those things and said the right things, but you don't see him as legitimate or attractive because of that. So it's not something you do consciously, but this is where this is what a lot of women will do. They say, well, I just want a guy. Tell me what kind of guy you like. He listens. He's this. He's a compassionate. And when women think about men, they're only thinking about men they're already attracted to because most other men are invisible. So just needed to put that caveat on there. I'm not knocking anything that you're saying, but when guys hear that, it's you got to be like, and also I was attracted to him at first, and that's the only reason any of that other stuff matters. So always have to put an asterisk next to that. Natalie, what do you think about that roundabout? Any other thoughts or questions or any newfound perspective? Or I just want to give you the closing thoughts or closing, words on that.
Yeah, I like that last point. I think that, yeah, so I think I'm lagging right now again. Sorry. No, I like that last thought. It's actually something I talk a lot about too, because either I'm weird or women just don't talk about it. But I like hot guys. Like I like guys who are in shape, who lift weights, who take care of themselves. Like I don't date guys with the dad bod.
It's fair.
Oh, there it was. She said dad bod. I was excited for that one. She said the dad bod.
All right, we'll get her back. We'll get her back. It's okay.
Oh, the dad bod.
Can I say
Anybody raise your hand if you
thought?
like the dad bod? Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
Mila, go ahead. We're gonna bring it back.
I wanted to say that the reason why I feel like a lot of women give sex on the first date and then like the guy ends up like it just doesn't end up working out. I feel like they just aren't like judging the men they are with correctly. They're not like focusing on the right things. Like they're thinking too emotionally, again, like Francesca, and not logically enough. Because like the reason why I said, what has he said? What vibe does he give? Does he seem ran through? And while you said that like, oh, well, being ran through doesn't matter for men. Well, in a way, yes. And in a way, no. Because it doesn't matter if the guy is just so attractive that he just like slaps you in the face with his attractiveness and now you can't think. That happened to my sister. She met this guy. As soon as she saw him, it was like, goo goo gaga, I'm done. And then they had sex on the first date. And then he ended up having another girlfriend. And she saw him on the street. And then like he ghosted her and never talked to her again. So what happened is that in the first date, they just kind of like went to a bar, got kind of tipsy, just had a bunch of little silly conversations about, I don't know, art, working out. They both went to the gym. They didn't talk about anything important, anything that like let you know, like besides the chemistry that's in the air. What else is there? Like, does this guy seem like he respects himself, or is he just like a charismatic guy that just knows how to make me laugh, right? I feel like there has to be substance to the guy, kind of like how the girl has to have. It's all about self-respect, because you said like a man doesn't have to respect a woman to love her. Yes, but the woman has to respect herself for the man to truly like value her, and that's why promiscuity is disgusting, because promiscuity is the complete lack of dignity, and that is disgusting to us. So to judge whether the guy has dignity is important. And it's really difficult. And I feel like women just struggle with judging whether that guy has dignity and has self-respect or not.
The first thing you said there, one of the first things you said there was listen to what he says to see if he's ran through or not. So what words that a guy might say on a first date would be red flags?
It's not words, it's how he behaves. It's like body language. Is he just like constantly like looking at himself in the mirror? Is he like, I don't know, acting all swag? Because I have met so many guys.
Who does that? That's not real.
I've heard this story once before, and the guy was a male model.
That's like a character from Gossip Girl. Like that doesn't exist in reality.
I have met men that when I look at their face, I can just tell like what they're about in that scenario.
Physiognomy is real. That's
Some
true.
men just really
quick. I want to get to Natalie really quick. I want to get you to finish your thought. You said you don't like dad bods. I want to keep you. We wish you didn't cut out that point because we need that clip. But continue. Yes. Like, just wanted to kind of get. Like,
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I think dad bods suck. I think dad bods should be dead. I think I will never sleep with a guy who is out of shape. I think it's absolutely disgusting. if you're not in shape, like if I lift weights more than often than you do, like nothing's happening. I think it's disgusting. And I think women need to get on that wavelength because the dad bod is way too acceptable in America.
But it's interesting that a guy may come on your show and say like, hey, maybe he's out of shape. Like, oh, I don't know, women's standards are too high. And like, I don't know what's going on with these broads out here. Like, I'm a nice dude. And are you going to tell that guy like, hey, dude, it's your gut. Like, figure it out.
Oh, hell yeah, I will.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I think is missing here, right? I think that's maybe what I'm not understanding about the pod or the cast. And again, maybe I'll catch an episode or two, but it's like, or maybe I'll do one. I'd love to maybe be on the show. But this idea of it's like, well, and I'm going to reduce it down to something that it's not. So forgive me in advance. But this idea of like, I'm going to bring guys on and we're going to listen to them talk about I know this isn't it, but we're going to listen to them tell me how hard dating is for them and why it's like women are the problem and their standards too high and I can't seem to get a chick and it's really hard out here for men. And it's just like, you have the power to do something about it. Why aren't you? You've got the ability to get in better shape to make more money. You just don't want to do it. You want it to come easy to you. You see how women are being treated and how women live their life on easy mode. And that's just, you want that same thing. And it's like, buddy, it ain't going to happen. I say this all the time. It's like, look, this is the game. You can play or not play, but you can't change it. It's up to you. Yeah. So I know that's not what we were talking about here, but I think that's kind of maybe where we were talking past each other at the start.
Yeah, I think where guys struggle in dating is just like part of some of the conversations, but I definitely don't subscribe to that. I definitely think that like for men and women, being a better version of yourself is the only way to get ahead in life, in every aspect of life, whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's your relationships, the way that you look, the money that you make, like the only control you have is over yourself. And I think that's definitely, I agree with you there. Like men need to get on board with that and realize like there's a role that you play in your own suffering. But going back to like the first date thing, I think that it's really not a one size fits all. It's such a hard conversation. I feel like I wish there was one right answer to it, but to Camila's point, like men are very deceiving. And I think as fun as it may be, it's risky to have sex with a guy on the first date. Like,
agreed.
If you're trying to protect your feelings, if you're somebody like me, or you're dating for a committed relationship, like if that's what you want. I mean, I've been burned so many times, not on the first date. You're talking 3 months, 4 months in, and then you like get past that point and it's like, oh wait, he was just doing this to hit it. And like, you're like, how, like, wow. It's astonishing the lengths that guys will go to like be deceiving and to get what they want.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it should be what you were saying earlier kind of like hurt me because I'm like, well, it's not about making him wait. It's really not about him. It's about you. Like as the female, you have to protect your own heart to an extent because we do get a deep emotional attachment, especially if you like the guy after you have sex and then you're racking up a body count and then you feel bad about that. And it's just like, it's not about withholding sex from the man, or it shouldn't be. That's a whole other conversation. You should never use it as like a manipulation tactic, but it's not smart, I think, to give it away too early as far as you're protecting yourself from pain. But I do agree with you that we should show in whatever capacity you're comfortable with, boundary-wise, a sexual interest, if there is one, because men do need that. It's not cool to act like you're not sexually interested or you're not sexual. And if you don't feel sexually interested, you either need to get your hormones checked or you don't like the guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I want to put a bow on this because I think we've touched on it pretty well, but it's a couple of things too. It's not just about women needing to protect their feelings. It's needing to protect their brains. Just like any other stimulant, just like any other chemical reaction in the brain, the hit of oxytocin and the serotonin and all that sort of good stuff, the more that happens, the less it hits. So over time, you might be like, man, I wish I didn't give it up to all these guys and I found a dude that I really, really like. But because I made mistakes and because I slept with multiple guys on the first date or I racked up a notch count of whatever is the unacceptable figure. We're not going to talk about specifics here because everyone's got a different opinion. Some people say 2 is too many. Some say 50 is too many. I don't really care. But this idea that on a long enough timeline with enough exposure to those chemicals, it will, like an alcoholic needs a ton of alcohol to get drunk. A drug addict needs a ton of drugs to get high. So, you know, a caffeine addict needs more caffeine to have the same effect. He needs to have 10 cups to have the same effect that one cup had 10 years ago, right? So we're talking about, you might find that guy or a woman be like, wow, I'm really into this guy, but I just can't, I don't feel that crazy attraction and that love. The pair bonding becomes impossible. So it's protecting feelings, but it's also protecting your ability to pair bond. So yeah, I get it. And I think, to clarify, when I said about making guys wait and that sort of thing, it's just like, guys sort of know. It's so rare to find a girl out there that has not gone home with a dude on a first date. I'm not even talking about virgins. Like, the guys, and I'll catch some shit in the comments for this, I don't really fucking care. But the fact, like, guys being obsessed with virgin women is very fucking stupid, in my opinion. I just think, like, the all likelihood is so ridiculous that it's just not the thing. I think when we're talking about making people wait, it's about, how did it happen? Did she spend a lot of time going on first one night stands? Is she a party girl? Is she going to festivals and doing stupid shit? Or did she maybe have a couple of long-term boyfriends and she's like, yeah, I was with them for a couple of years and it was, you know, serious, and that's what you do. Those are maybe equal notch counts. Maybe they're 3 or 4 boyfriends, maybe 3 or 4 one-night stands, same amount of bodies, but the mechanism is different. So I think that's what I mean. It's like, you're going to make a guy like me wait when, I'm like, not me, but you're going to make a guy that's got options wait when you gave it up 3 times to the dude at the bar, versus, hey, like, I've never had sex outside of a serious relationship, so I'm not going to start now with you. I think those are 2 different conversations. I think that latter is valid. So yeah, I think there's validity there. Spence,
I got the perfect clip for this. I got some right on dot.
Jamie, pull that up. See what we got here. I'm ready. Let it fly.
Oh. Let me know if the audio's coming through on it.
No audio. Is it clicked on?
StreamYard. I gotta represent it. I gotta hit the button. Also share tab
It kind
audio.
of looks like the
you gotta share the
guy
tab
girl.
audio at the bottom.
Yep. There we go.
Go for it.
Last without sex?
Yeah,
We actually haven't had sex. How long has it been?
2 months.
A little over 2 months. Why are you choosing to wait? I'm a serial monogamist, and I like to make sure that I know what I'm getting into before I get into it. And then also on top of that, she has her rules. Rules like?
I don't want to have sex with a guy for a year after knowing him.
So he has to wait a year
Oh
before.
my god.
Yeah.
This is what's crazy. So she says that, but we already know that I don't really have to wait for a year because it's gotten pretty far to where I could have fucking gotten it already. But anyways.
Don't do that. No, it has not. Stop playing with me right now. Don't do that.
But why make a man wait a year who's already providing for you,
That's just like a personal thing. After my baby daddy, I just.
I'm gonna be real with you. So, like,
You gonna be real with him about me?
I'm gonna be real with him about you. So this is the deal. She's used to, like, there's dudes that always try to get stuff, and like they think that they pay for it and do whatever they provide whatever, that they feel like they can have whatever they want from the female, and that's what she's been dealing with. And I told her, I said, you know what, that's not what I'm about, and it's really not. I love her. I love her kids. You know, we have fun, everything. You know. How many kids? She has 2. I have 2. I'm more into it about the ending of it, not just the sex part of it. So at 22 and 40.
Hold on, before we digest that, let me grab Kiz's super chat real quick. Camila, ran through men are not straight. What? People are guilty of treating stated preferences as facts when it's revealed preferences which are based on facts and history. The former is lies by admission. I had to make sure I got that because appreciate that, Kiz.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even know.
Let's get all the girls' opinions. I want to get all the girls' opinions on it.
Say anything.
Do you girls think that she's attracted to him, that she desires this man? Angie, you go first.
No.
Not at all, eh?
He seems like a bank account.
Bank account, yep. Jada?
Yeah, it seems like she's using him. For sure.
Natalie?
I would agree. Yeah, I don't think she's attracted to him.
Aaron?
Yeah, same. I don't think that she's actually attracted to him. Just seems like she's using him.
Cool. Why do you girls think that is? What about that stood out?
Didn't he said she was like a lot of men using her, blah blah blah. The fact that she did that with other men, that shows who she is. Like she's been
Yeah.
she's
Did
been
you girls catch
acting.
that? She said she's not having sex with him, but then she said after my baby daddy. She's had kids with another man, but this dude she's not having sex with. Like that's what guys when they want to have sex early on, if they get turned off by you holding back sex, this is why. It's because they know the likelihood that you've done this with another man, and if you're not doing it with him, you're probably using him for his resources. You're using him for his money, using him for his attention. You're not actually attracted to him.
Yeah. One of the biggest signs for me on her not being attracted to him was when he said, "Oh well, she knows I'm not waiting a year because we've gotten pretty close to it already, like a bunch of times. I could get it if I wanted to." She immediately was like, "How dare you say that we have done anything together?" It was like she was embarrassed. She was like, "Oh my god, now people are gonna think that I have like done crazy things with this guy." It didn't seem like she wanted anybody to know that.
Yeah, I think the body language
weird
said a
dynamic.
lot.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, it was very weird. The body language said a lot that she was like clearly like almost like I don't know, like didn't even want to like really stand close to him. And I mean, just to state the very blunt obvious, she's much more attractive than him. She's younger, and he obviously is providing for her kids. Like that's what he said. So it's just I think it's very clear that this is transactional for her.
Notice how he said he loved her
too.
kids, and she didn't say anything about his kids. She didn't say anything about loving his kids. He's like, "Oh, I love her kids. I love being the provider." I mean, basically, we just saw a white knight in action. We just saw Captain
savior
Sabo.
complex.
That's basically what that is. We saw Captain
I was about
Sabo.
to say that.
Now, the only thing that I was like, this kind of makes sense because he's got 2 kids, and it's hard. Like, it's like now at the same time, the most dangerous person in a kid's life, based on all of the statistics and metrics that we have, are step-parents. It's very, very, especially if or even step siblings, especially if they are of the opposite gender. Bringing a non-biologically related boy and a girl into the same house or into the same family can spell disaster in terms of abuse and things like that, and stepdads with girls and even boys. So, it's that, my God, that kind of dynamic can be really dangerous and unfortunate if the wrong things are happening. But yeah, I mean, I think we know what we got there with that guy. Yeah, not a great idea to embarrass a girl like that. Not smart. But she clearly, the way she's reacting to him was, almost proud of this way. When she said, like, I make him wait a year, like the cackling and the laughing, it's almost like she's like, yeah, this is my bitch right here. So, KC, welcome back to the show. Really quick.
Yeah, boy.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a quick little intro for us and remind us name, age, where you're from, what you do, and your relationship status, in case people weren't watching last week.
Well, my name is Casey Marie. Hello, every beautiful women. You guys are all so cute, by the way.
But not the men.
I'm
But not us.
33.
No.
What did you say?
No, we're back to the no one cares about the men. No one cares about them. I'm kidding.
They told you. I told you, Natalie. I told you.
You guys are handsome. Okay, you guys are handsome too.
All right, calm down.
But
Relax.
be equal here. Yeah. But I'm 33. Currently recently single. But I dabble on all the creatives. So I'm a singer, songwriter. I also host farmers markets. I do a bunch of just event hosting, literally just creating communities for people in my area.
Okay, awesome. Spencer, I want to bring the clip up because this is a really interesting. So, Casey, Casey Marie, you mentioned that you're recently single because your ex cheated, essentially. Do I remember that? I have that correctly?
Yeah, it was just like a lot of unfaithfulness, or I
Okay.
would just say like deception.
Got you. And it was like strip clubs, and he was going out and doing things like that. But you had also said, like, if he'd been honest with you that he was going out and sleeping with other women, that still would have been a deal breaker. That would have been not cool, right?
Well, it would have, I feel like at the end of the day, it would have been my decision. And yeah, like I wouldn't have been okay with it. But
Okay. So you and Natalie are the two single ladies on the panel. Angie, Jada, Camila, Aaron, all in relationships. So this is a common thing that we bring up, and we actually have a clip on it, and I want to get all of the ladies' ideas on it. Spencer, bring the one up about stepping out and cheating if you've got that. I'm going to get that queued up. Yeah, and I definitely want to get, because I think I know where most of the ladies are going to stand on this. But I want to go around the panel once we get this pulled up and see if this woman is batshit crazy in your opinion, if she thinks she's got a point. Whenever Spencer grabs that video there. And this is the same guy, right? This is the guy that still does the street interviews, same dude?
Yeah, this one's going to take me a moment. I got to change how I'm sharing it because it won't go with audio this way.
Okay. Well, while he's doing that, Jada, I had a question for you specifically, and I don't know if this is something that this is something for you that we're not going to go around the horn with, but being a marriage coach, a marriage counselor, a marriage proponent, there are huge swaths of men, myself included, who have said and will maintain that being married on paper is not something we are going to do and be willing to do because of the way the family law system is set up and the way it's generally stacked towards men, and that men generally have more to lose in divorce when it comes to custody of children, marital assets, etc. Is that something that ever comes up in any of your conversations? Is that something that gives you pause? And I don't want to put answers in your mouth. And I know, again, we talked about the religiosity of sort of your practice, but we've seen heavily dedicated Christian families and couples. Yeah, real quick, Spence, let me get this through. We've seen heavily dedicated Christian families and couples get divorced. I'm sure you may have had former clients that may still got divorced. Maybe you did it, but how do you reconcile that? You know, if you're for marriage, knowing the way the law is set up, like how do you reconcile those 2 points? Being a proponent for it, but knowing the realities of what can happen in a divorce.
That's a good question. Usually, I think that's why, just like it says, you need a village to raise a family. You need a village to really help a marriage. Our marriage more looked like us getting baptized together in front of the whole church. We did go to a courthouse, but that wasn't really the marriage. It was when we were at the church baptizing and everybody seen us make these vows and commitment. And then what happened is when we go through hard things, everybody comes together to make sure that doesn't fall. And I think that is more so. I wish the dynamic, because going to a courthouse is very easy. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just all in love. You don't understand the commitment. And this is why people, even Christians, religious people, have to go to a counselor. And some people, they go to someone that's not religious and learn all kinds of new things. Didn't know attachment styles, didn't know all this other stuff that's such a huge part that the church doesn't talk about, or they don't have people helping them. So how I reconcile that is more so getting them around people that love marriage, love their role, especially women, like love serving the family, because you're around a bunch of women that don't. So if you change your circle, and then for the men, I mean, getting around masculine men, I binge watch men like you guys all the time because my husband does, and having to change your circle around those people for men, that's what I really more focus on. Because the thing that like I'm sure even like my husband, because we got married so young, sitting in a room with like someone like you and Spencer at his young age, how much that would have changed his mindset back then that he learned a little bit later. And it don't even have to be religious, just masculine men that love their role, that say this is what we have to do, you know, and this is the part we play in society. And I think that's how you kind of reconcile.
So it's a bit of a niche, right? It's a bit of a very specific sort of type of person or demographic that's got to be heavily involved, and it's like sort of in the church. And that's because, you know, like I understand the the philosophy behind it, because until very recently, like even like in the West, it's about people and love and commitment and all that sort of stuff. But in a lot of Eastern countries still, it's community. It's the sharing of resources. It's bringing families together. And so a lot of people, they have stake and they have skin in the game when it comes to these people staying together. There is no divorce. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
But, you know, and I know we want to go to this next sort of this topic here, but what about people that don't have that? Is that still, or is it like, hey, listen, if you can't create this environment that's conducive, don't bother, or try to do as best you can? You know, it's like, what if it's like, hey, like, we're two people that want to get married and we're coming to you, but we don't have this support system. We don't have this backbone. We don't have this community. What do you say to those people?
Well, yeah, like premarital counseling, when they come to me for that, is I really highly push them to, I even like look for people in their like churches or just certain people for them to go to cling on to, because I've had couples that are so isolated and it's just them two with like no help, or not even like getting outside to have their own identity in their own lives a little bit, and just good community to where there's nothing getting resolved in their marriage at all. So what you kind of said was what I believe in. I think for a marriage to really do really well and succeed, you just need a community. I think premarital counseling, you should focus on building that. For a man, you can get lost in your own idea and influence in some type of way. I've seen very emotional men, if they're raised by just a single mother, very emotional men that aren't making the best decisions. And then for women too, very emotional women. And when you're just by yourself, you have isolated yourself, you don't sometimes make the best decisions. So yeah. I believe in community, and that the community teaches you your role, and everyone holds you to it. That's what I believe in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about that really quick, because I knew that we had some time there. Spence, are we ready?
Yep, we're good.
All right, throw that up.
We were together. Would you tolerate cheating from me?
Of course, I would.
Now, why is that?
Because men biologically cheat. Because you can go sleep with a girl right now and it's just pleasure. For example, we're surrounded right now by a shit ton of amazing clubs. You can walk into the club right now, get super drunk, and just have a one-night stand, but you're still coming home to me, sleeping with me, providing for me, and doing everything you're supposed to. It's just biologically made that men are going to go ahead and cheat because it's just pleasure. You know what I mean? It's status, basically, when men cheat.
But when women cheat,
it's disrespect, because when we cheat, it's a connection. Like, we cheat with intention, we cheat with emotions. You guys don't cheat with emotions, we do. So I don't think a man should stay with a woman that cheats on her.
now why wouldn't you feel insecure by finding out that I, was blowing another chick's back out?
As women, you're meant to be feminine and protect of the home and stay with your partner and take care of the kids. So if you're fighting for me and doing everything you're supposed to, I will definitely tolerate cheating. But if it's a 50-50 relationship, it's like I'm your roommate. Why are you like making me downfall? Like, that's not cool.
Let's say we were together.
All right. Interesting. Casey Marie, let me go to you first. I want to get your thoughts on that. Agree, disagree, get the hell out of here.
I agree.
What's your content?
I agree 100%.
Really?
I don't think it's fair, but I agree. Yeah.
But you just broke up with the guy for stepping out on you.
But it's true. Like, it is what it is. Like, men are gonna go to strip clubs. They're gonna want it. So I just spoke to him, and he told me that the reason he went to a strip club was because I made him feel less than a man. Like,
What'd you do?
Well, he was insulting me, so I tackled his image, and he probably felt less than a man, and it took him to the strip club where it was like, I'm a man, I want to feel like a man, you know what I mean? So I understand that 100%. And it took me a while to understand that as a woman, because, well, I don't want my man to go to a strip club. I don't want my man to be with another girl. I don't want my guy to be flirting with somebody else. The attention should be on me, right?
But what she's kind of saying here is, right, if you have all the things you need for security and your future and the kids in the house and that sort of stuff,
why?
Is it really that big a deal? So Are you in the process of reconciling? Is this something where you guys might work things out and get back together? And what do you
don't
think?
know. He wants to reconcile, but I'm at a point where I'm like, should I get even? Because he already went to the strip
Get
club.
even. Hold on.
No,
Let her go.
it's only fair, right? He already went to the strip
No,
club.
this is where women, like, I'm going to
And
save
he
you from
probably
yourself
paid
right
for
now.
like,
I've got to step in and save you from yourself. This is
Oh,
why it's not the
thank
same,
you.
and this is why getting even is the worst thing that women can do because of what she just said. Because when men do this, it's not to get back at you. It's not malicious. Now, he might have gone to the strip club because you made him feel bad, but he's not. It's more than what I'm gathering. Again, I don't know the guy, but he wanted to feel like a man. He didn't want to rub it in your face. There's a difference between that. For you, it's like if you're doing this, because women don't, like, let's be honest, women would prefer to be with one guy. They don't want to run around and sport bang a bunch of dudes. You're not going out to get it because you want to do it to get back at him. He's doing it because it's his biological imperative saying, I want to go get some ass and I'm not going to call her. I don't really care. There's no emotional investment. It's exercise. And I'm going to come back home to Casey Marie and give her the house and the cars and the money and the kids and take care of her. But it's like, but if you were to take that other side and say, well, if you did it, because men and women are different. If you say, well, I can do it because you can, that will be the end of this relationship forever. You might be mad. You might want to get back at him. But I'm telling you, if there's any chance at reconciliation, you do not want to do that because it's not the same thing. Because you know as well as you do, you know as well as we do, as I do, that getting with a guy, first of all, you're not even going to want, you don't really want to do it because it's not in your nature. And the only reason you want to is for revenge.
Yeah.
And then how does that help anybody? You know what I mean? So anyway, let's go to Angie next. I want to get your thoughts on the video.
I
think I know where you stand.
Let's
but I want to
go.
get your thoughts.
I'm 34, right? I have a really good man. Why would I wouldn't bother.
Well, about the
like
video.
my-
So like you're a guy, like let's use your
that's what I
example.
meant.
Like,
I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant. I'm like, I'm already 34 years old. What are my chances to get another guy like my boyfriend right now? Very slim. So I would stay.
So you're with it. You're like,
Good
this
say.
girl, I'm aligned with it. You're like, whatever. You're not gonna like it, but you're not gonna.
But yeah, and also I think what girls don't realize, when you date someone who's got a business, they're so busy. It happened maybe once a year, or when they go on a boys trip, you wouldn't know. Like they don't have time to go every weekend. Like that's not how it works at all. Like they have their
Angie.
business to worry about. So if they want to go to a strip club or do something with their friends, I just wouldn't even ask questions. I'll do my thing, watch a movie, and take a day off. From dinner. You guys hang out. Like, so I don't know. It's for me. It doesn't even come across
You're
my
like,
mind.
I'm not gonna go digging for dirt because I know
No.
I'll probably find something,
Find
and
some.
that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
but that
do
doesn't.
that,
How does that help anybody? Right? Going and looking for dirt.
Angie, I have a question.
Yeah.
How do you, so basically you're very secure in your relationship, right? Like that, to the point that you don't even want to dig in because like how Moff said, like you're probably going to find some stuff, right?
I don't.
Maybe or maybe
He's very
not.
good to me, like-
the
Yeah, it's
point
a
that I'm
it's a
making is that
possibility. Yeah,
the
it's a
point that I'm
possibility.
making though is that it's a waste of time because if it's going
It
like,
is.
look, he's still coming home to her every single day. He's still taking care of her. He's still providing to the fact where what she's saying, Angie, right, is like, even if he is like, I've got everything that I really want and need from this guy in a relationship. The fact that the likelihood of me finding another guy like him is almost nil. Right, it's minuscule. So
Yeah.
wrecking something over something that is not a big deal or whatever, or just like a one-time thing, or maybe once a year, like you said, is that a real reason to blow everything up and start you back to zero?
Yeah.
And your answer is no.
No way.
Now, Casey Marie, if this is a guy Angie, to her point at the end of the video, if you're going like, now I know you and you're not going 50-50 with any man ever, but it's like that's like, I'm not sure if you're not taking care of things and you're not paying for this and you're not taking care of the house and the bills and I don't have the security that I need to be a stay-at-home girlfriend, then yeah, where do you think you get off having all of this freedom to step out and do this other stuff? The competence of taking care of things and taking care of the house. That's why you're more than likely, you're cool with kind of just looking the other way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's make sure we get the other girls' opinions too. We gotta go.
Oh, we're gonna move around, Spence. I got you. Jada, I want to go to you next. And I know what Erin thinks. I can see her. She's chomping at the bit. I promise we'll get to you. Jada, what are your thoughts on this? Because your situation is a little different. You're married, but I want to get your thoughts too.
I think that's easy to say until you're in it. Like, I think it's easy to say I can look the other way until if he comes home with STDs and he's giving them to you, or you find out you got a baby on another woman.
Yes.
That's like you're gonna be like, I'm not. I take that back. What I said. Because then now you're gonna start having insecurities. You don't know what's gonna happen. Like your life's unpredictable now. It's not secure anymore. It's not safe. There's new things.
He's bringing danger into the household.
It's dangerous. Right. You're not a secure. No security.
But that's your objection. Your objection is not necessarily the stepping out. The objection is being embarrassed, bringing another baby home that's not yours, infecting you with a disease. So it's like, let's say your husband goes like, Jada, love you, but you know what? I'm a guy who's got needs. My biological need is for variety. I'll never bring a girl home. I'll never be seen out in public with a girl. I'll never do anything to embarrass you or risk anything like that. Is that something do you trust him enough to say, okay, I trust that you won't do that? Or is it still too big of a risk for you to take?
Yeah, that's just, that's just too much of a risk. But I know that, like, there are certain cultures, and he's like half Middle Eastern, so like there are certain family members that they take on more than one wife, which would be more clean, right? That would be like the wife would know this woman, and also would be contributing to the household, and you guys are both, with him, and so you're a little bit more safe if that is the case. But that would be more of a secure option for a woman in a predicament like that.
As long as you're both in bed with them together at the same time, right?
Yes, I personally, but I know people that do that, and it's a more secure relationship, and it's a part of their culture, so I understand.
Got you.
Cool. Okay, let's keep going around. Camila.
So, to start off, I'm 100% in disagreement with that. Cheating.
Okay.
It's not allowed by me. It's not allowed by my man. And here's where I come at this. When men have high testosterone, and testosterone makes you horny, makes you more sexually active, right? More sexually needing more sexual interaction, right?
Yeah.
Now that is
it's just
instinct,
the sex
right?
drive. Yeah, it's the male.
Yeah,
it's the male sex drive.
Men have a higher sex drive, and this is an instinct, right?
But real quick though. But it's not just about having a higher sex drive. It's about we are biologically hardwired for variety and to spread seed far and wide. It's not just about having sex more. It's about having sex with more.
That is the instinct of the man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Just want to clarify.
Now we are animals, so we have instincts, right?
Sure.
But we are not like a straight up dog, right? We have the capability to reason. We have the capability to restrain. We have the capability to act on logic rather than just emotion, right? Or rather than just pure instinct, right? And if you just give in to your instinct, then that kind of, especially with a relationship, right? Like if you're in a relationship and let's say that I'm at home and I'm taking care of the kids and I'm like, keeping your home up, I'm doing your laundry, I'm cleaning the house, your abode is beautiful, your children are well fed and raised, clothed, clean, and then you're over here, you're working your 9 to 5, you're providing for the household, everything I want, I have it. It's like a perfect symphony. If you take out the exclusivity and the sacredness of this union, all you have is a transaction. Because what's happening here is that the woman is doing her role and the man is doing his role. But the woman instinctually doesn't want to cheat, so she doesn't. And the man instinctually does, so then he does. So then like that thing that is called like exclusive relationship. Like, I don't know, I'm a more monogamous person, or I'm more what you call, I guess, Christian. So I have a more traditional value when it comes to a relationship. I, for example, I mean, I know I'm a woman and I probably have less instincts in this, right? But I love my man and I would never want to hurt him, right? So if my man, right, knowing that, because women are possessive, men are possessive over women, women are also possessive over men. Women don't want their men usually, right? There are exceptions, but women don't want men usually like just going into every vagina that they find pleasing to the eye, right? So as a woman who is possessive of my man, right, I would hope that, like, since my man loves me, he wouldn't want to hurt me, right? So if he's willing, if he tells me like, hey babe, I just really love to, I just really have a really high sex drive and I have a need to sleep with multiple women, I'd be like, okay, well, you have certain needs that don't match with mine. I mean, there are definitely men in this world that are loyal. Like, obviously, the likelihood of a man being not loyal is higher because they're men, right? Women tend to be maybe like more loyal.
It's actually not true. There's actually statistics that show women cheat just as much as men in relationships.
Okay.
Well, I just think that, like, we're human beings. We should be able to have self-control. Now, if you enter a relationship and you lay this down, then sure.
Here's the issue with that. The issue with that is this, and this argument comes up a lot. The same mechanism that causes you to be wanting to be faithful with one guy and to give children to one guy and to find the best guy you can possibly get, hypergamy, it's your natural mating strategy, your dating strategy. You find a guy that you think is the best guy you can get, you stay with him. That's your instinct. That you're being driven by instinct. That's okay. But when it comes to a man, he's got to put his instincts away and he's got to control his urges. They come from the exact same place. They're both instinctual processes, but we live in a world now where one is okay and accepted and one is not. Do you see how that's contradictory, or that's kind of a double standard in a way?
Wait, what
Because
is
a guy doesn't.
Male and female?
Sorry?
What is accepted?
Yeah,
it's accepted that men don't step out. It's not accepted for men to step out. Look, men have had multiple women for millennia. Like, it's always been this way. Monogamy is a very new, recent thing. But it's always, when a guy says, hey, listen, I have needs, like what you just said. If your guy came to you and said, hey, I have needs. I have need for variety. I can't help it. It's an instinct. You say, well, no, you need to control your instincts because you have logic and you're not a caveman. But if I said, but hold on, but you say to me, you're like, well, I don't want to date a short, broke, fat loser because I'm not attracted to him and I'm not hardwired to date guys that are losers. I need to say, well, you just need to put that instinct away and you just settle for that dork, loser, homeless guy because we're logic and we don't have to give into our biological impulses and instincts. Do you see how those two are conflicting?
Well, the thing is that if women are as likely as men to cheat, right, that means that women and men go through the same challenges with their instincts.
It's different. Oh, it's different because the instinct is different. Because women cheat when they're ready to leave a guy. Women are cheating when they're ready, when the guy they're cheating with is better than the guy that they're with. Guys can cheat on a woman that he does not give a shit about.
Well, yeah,
he's just attracted to her.
If a man comes
it's not the same thing.
If a man comes that's like way better than her man, right? But she doesn't know him, but he's just like, I don't know, so hot. It would take self-restraint and reason to say like, well, I'm jumping into a really, really high risk scenario if I just give in my little Las Vegas trip and just get laid with this guy simply because he's just really attractive. Like, it
women
takes
don't really have sex like
self-control.
that. Women generally don't have sex like that. Women generally need some sort of connection emotionally. It's not most women are not just down to do whatever with any old guy. They still have some sort of connection. Most women are not just jumping on a guy because he's good looking. It happens, but usually it does because there's drugs and alcohol.
Okay, but that actually
negates what?
Go on, Natalie.
Rich Cooper's whole argument on this.
What does?
When I was on here last, he talked about how it's inappropriate for women to go on girls' trips to Vegas and go to the strip club and all that because statistically, women are very likely to sleep with the strippers. So if women only cheat out of emotion, then how can both of those things be true? I think you're negating the fact
I
that
didn't say
sometimes
that.
women just want to
That's
fuck
not
the
exactly
hot
what
guy.
I'm saying. And
When
that's
it comes to
fine.
cheating,
And
it's all
sometimes it
instinct.
does happen. Sometimes it does happen, but the mechanisms behind it are different. Women are not. If a woman cheats on a dude, the relationship is over. The only reason a woman would cheat on a guy is because she doesn't see him as his best and she's not in love with him. Women don't cheat on men.
That's not true.
When women are in love with men, yes, it is. When women are in love with a man, every other dude on the planet is invisible. When she really has found the guy that she is head over heels with, every other guy on the planet, she doesn't even see him. She doesn't see him. They're invisible. She's obsessed with her guy. If a woman is attracted or has the hots from some other dude to the point where she's willing to enact in some sort of sexual act, she doesn't love the guy she's with, and she's ready to move on.
The relationship isn't the same vice versa, because the guy does not feel the same way as the woman, because they're seeing all these other women, and then now their ego's boosted up, and then now they're just feeling like the world is theirs. And
See, but I feel like that's kind of like a
It's
selfish thing, though.
But again, I understand you think that, but I could turn around and say, I think it's selfish for you to only want a good guy that you're attracted to who's smarter, makes more money, and does better. You should date homeless losers. Because if you don't, you're selfish. It's your biological imperative.
There's a difference in desiring mutual respect in a relationship and desiring a six-figure wallet, in my opinion. Because one thing is moral, and one thing is just like.
But who decides what's moral? That's the whole point. I got it.
As a Christian, when you're not maybe like religious, then maybe your morality is more subjective. But as someone who is Christian, I work on the morality of Christianity, and in Christianity, cheating is bad.
We could talk all day about how we could talk. Christianity also says you can own slaves, and that's
a misinterpretation of the Bible.
No, it's really not. I mean, I read it. I know what the Bible says. It says you can. It also says you can beat your slaves. It also says you can beat your slaves almost to death, but as long as they don't die, there's no punishment. I mean, there's plenty of no. But I'm saying the whole point is like
everything is a misinterpretation. So
times were also different back then.
If that were the case,
that was a very long time ago.
Okay. I promise. We're getting so far in the weeds here. Hold on. Okay. Still talking. If we're going to take that stance that we got our morality for something, we can't pick and choose what's good and what's right based on our own interpretation. The Bible is either 100% moral or it's not.
No, I believe it is 100% moral.
And it's also 100% correct or it's 100% not. So sitting here saying,
I think it's 100% moral. Well, things
disagree.
Change. Things change. Do people have slaves nowadays?
But if it's God's perfect world, if it's God's perfect word and God's perfect word is unchanging, then how can it change?
Back then, someone owed money to someone else. That person became that person's slave. Is that the same as a black person being enslaved in a plantation?
There's a difference between indentured servitude and slavery.
No, but that was what was. They were called slaves back then, though. That was like the word that was used to describe to them.
Sorry, that's not what it means. Slavery is owning another person. No, I've read the Bible. I know this stuff. I studied this stuff for 15 years. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the meaning of words change over time too.
I don't think we got to keep talking about slaves on this.
No, I wanted my turn about the topic.
This is what kills me. It's like, it's either the perfect word, unchanging, or it's not. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It doesn't make any sense. You don't get to say, I agree with it when it's convenient for me, but I don't agree with it when it says something I don't want it to say.
I literally said it's 100% moral.
But then you're talking out of both sides of your mouth because you're saying the words have changed and the words are different. All right,
what we consider a slave back then is not the same as what we consider a slave today. There were many different types of slaves.
No, I'm not going to sit here and listen to somebody defend slavery. Aaron, what do you think about?
I'm not defending slavery.
Just like men cheating. Absolutely not. That's just me. That's a hard no. If you want to be with me and you want to be in a relationship with me, then you need to accept that. And if you can't accept that, then I'm not for you. That's how it is. Like, I would never tolerate that. Just like I would never do that to him. And that's okay. It's not for everyone. You know, I get it. And I'm not disputing instincts. I'm not here to argue about semantics of slavery. But in my life, if you want to be with me, then that's what it means, is that you're going to be monogamous with me. Period.
I think that's a fair line in the sand to have. It's working. But again, fair enough.
I could never build a life with someone. I could never build a future with someone if they were doing that, ever. I couldn't trust them. It's like a hard
but that's what I don't understand. Again,
pass.
like this whole thing about trust, again, and I know this is a topic that we beat into the fucking ground every single week, but it just goes to show that women just don't understand the brains of men, and you'll never be able to see the world through the minds of no, and I understand that.
Never.
And this is why I don't think women should give dating advice to men. This is why I don't think women should be life coaches giving advice to men. I think women should leave the fuck alone unless they want to date them, to be honest with you.
And like I said, if that's not okay with you, and I'm pretty upfront with that, then I'm not for you. Then I'm not for you.
No.
You know, and that's just how it is.
You just have to find someone that's on the same moral page as you. If you find a girl, if you're a guy that loves to fuck around, and you find a girl that is that girl on the video, she's like, go ahead, fuck around, love it.
Right. That would never work with me.
Then go ahead. I'm clap for you. Yay, you found one. But like, if you're a girl that has, you know, that requirement, right? Kind of like how men want a woman that, I don't know, is pretty to look at. If I have a requirement that's like, you know, I want a man that doesn't, you know, cheat on me, then I have to find a man that is willing to do that. And if they betray that, then
there's a lot of bias. There's a lot of bias at the table here. I want to get to Natalie here in a second, but there's a lot of bias here at the table. Because Camila, you've been in a relationship for a very long time. You don't have any idea what it's like to be single in 2025.
No.
Aaron, you have almost no idea. Hold on, Casey.
Just like a little bit.
My goodness.
Just like
you guys
a teeny bit.
Gotta stop with the interrupting. My God.
But I'm curious.
You don't know what it's. I'll get to you in a second. I gotta get this point out. You don't have any idea what it's like to be single, other than like the 2 or 3 months that you were single, and you fell into another relationship. Very, very luckily, I may add.
Right.
But I understand that you're only talking about this through your own personal lens. And I can't sit here and say like, well, the guy that you really want is not going to put up with that because you got a guy that you want. But on the balance of probabilities and generally speaking, for women out there that are single, that are saying these things where, oh, if you don't want to be with me because of if you don't meet these standards, then we just won't be together. These women are doomed to be single forever, almost guaranteed. Because the kind of man,
so cruel to men to say that, like, it's impossible. I think it's cruel to men to think that, like, it is impossible for a woman to find a man that's loyal. Like, what kind of like message is that sending about men?
No, it's not impossible.
Well, you're saying like they'll always be single forever if they have the expectation of never being cheated on. Like, is that implying that like men like, good luck, you're never gonna find one?
No,
never gonna find a loyal man.
On the balance of probabilities, the kind of man that you want is going to have options. And the kind of man that you're going to want to settle for or take in a relationship seriously is a guy that many other women also want to probably be with. So you have to somehow differentiate yourself to override this man's hardwiring for variety and mixing it up. And women love to take this shit seriously, and I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but they all say like, "Well, am I not enough?" Or like, "Why don't am I not enough for you?" Or "Do I not give you what you want? Do I not do the dirty things in the bedroom that you really want?" And it has nothing to do with that. We've already established that men need a biological drive. They are hardwired for variety. So it's just one of these things, and so I understand.
The only thing that can override it is love.
Wrong.
I think so. It just depends on what kind of morals that you have.
Because you don't know what it's like to have a male brain. That's what you know. Because when you fall in love with a guy, hold on. Because when you fall in love with a guy, I already established this. Every other dude on the planet is invisible to you. That we've already established that. It's not like that for men. A man can be in love with you and step out on you in the next minute and then come home and kiss you like it doesn't even matter. That's how they're hardwired.
I don't think so. I mean, I think if my boyfriend cheated on me, I feel like he'd be guilty about it.
Come on.
I'm sure he would be.
Well, listen, like, he would feel guilty, and why would he feel guilty then?
You're
He
blind.
would feel,
guilty.
here's why he would feel guilty. He would feel guilty for you being hurt, but he wouldn't feel guilty for cheating on you and having sex with another woman. He'd only be guilty if he got caught and you got in his ass about it. The guilt comes from the hurt that you feel. That's why, like, again, I don't know anything about Angie's relationship, but there's no reason to complicate things and go looking for dirt and disrupting the home. Even if this guy has maybe stepped out before, maybe he hasn't. But it's this idea of there's no embarrassment, there's no shame, there's no hurting of her feelings, and the guy is going out and doing his thing. Like, it's the guilt.
Well, maybe I'm
from
just
you.
really lucky and inexperienced, but I mean, when I first started dating my boyfriend, we made this very clear to each other. He said, like, I'm not interested in cheating. You're not gonna cheat.
14.
And I said, I agree. I know, but
Your boyfriend's 22 years old. He can't
I could
cheat
bring
on
him
you.
in. I could bring him in
No, but
if I ever come in
understand.
again, and he can talk about it.
Camille, I
Genuinely, we genuinely don't want to cheat on each other. That's all I have to say.
I understand. Here's the contention that I have. Most men under the age of 25 have no options when it comes to women. Most men under the age 25 couldn't cheat even if they wanted to, because men under 25. This is just the
they can
facts
go to a strip
reality
club
of
and
it.
pay.
That's different, though. Men aren't going to be. That's different. Yeah, of course. Anybody could. An 18-year-old.
They'll still be sticking it in.
But when you're talking about the kind of men that women want, your average 22, 23-year-old probably doesn't have a lot of money, probably still lives with parents or lives with roommates, is not high status in any way, has never been anywhere or really done much, is just out of college. He hasn't lived life or had enough experience or competency to actually get things done or know the way that the world works. Men need to build their value over time. So it's not surprising to me that a 22-year-old kid who's, I mean, again, I don't know anything about the guy, and he seems like a nice guy. Like, I'm not trying to dog on you or anything like that. I'm not talking about him specifically, but it's not surprising to me. It's like, it's what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, these are the guy, of course, a guy who says he's not, who can't cheat is going to say he's not going to cheat. It's much easier to say, I don't want to, instead of I can't, even if I did want to. Anyway.
I have a question.
Natalie, I don't think, hold on. I gotta get Natalie's take on this, because we still haven't got her take on this. I know we were supposed to go around, and I messed that whole thing up. Natalie, what are your thoughts on the video, what we were talking about? We can talk about girls' trips too if you want after that. Why not?
No, please no. Two. I'm going to say two things. A man who is not good on his word, or a man who does not have discipline, is not a man. And that's not a man that any good woman wants to be with. So with this, really, what y'all's arguments boil down to is being on the same page. So like, what this girl's talking about in the video, she's not talking about cheating. She's talking about that she's in an open relationship.
No.
So if you're going to agree, if you're agreeing in the relationship that, like, if I do X, Y, Z, if I take care of the house, take care of the kids, take care of you, I put warm meals on the table, and you go out and sleep with other women, then we're good. So that's an agreement. So he's not cheating on her. He's living.
You've
by
got
this
women on the
agreement
panel
based
that
on
just
the
said they
video.
wouldn't be doing that. You've got women on
I'm
the panel
talking
that
about the
say we wouldn't
video.
agree with that.
I'm talking about the video.
But no,
So
Natalie,
the type
you
of
can't. Sorry, stop. You got to stop, because
no,
you
I'm
can't-
not. You're not going
No,
to cut me
have
off
to
if you don't want
stop.
people
I
cutting
have
you
to,
off.
because you're
No,
making
you
things
don't.
up. You
I'm
can't
not making
infer
things up.
something. No. She never said at any point. You can't make things up to fix your narrative here and to fit your
That's
narrative.
not what she's doing.
You can't put words in someone's mouth on a video.
I'm not even finished with my point.
No, you're saying
It's
that
not
she's
saying
saying they agreed to it. They had some sort of conversation or communication where that was going to be an open relationship. She didn't say anything like that. They never said anything about an argument or an agreement or anything like that. Yes, you're inputting your own bias onto the video. You can't do that to make it fix your narrative.
Don't you want my opinion?
Let her explain.
I'm giving my opinion, my own bias.
Hold on. Everybody shut up. Everybody stop talking. Stop. Here's the deal. I'm not going to tolerate being told what to do on my own show and own panel. Don't tell me to be quiet. Don't tell me to go to somebody else. Don't tell me to do anything. This is my show. If you don't like the way I run it, it's really easy to click that button and leave. Natalie, please go ahead.
Okay, so the way that she's describing her dynamic is an open relationship. If she knows that this man is going out and doing that and she's okay with it, as long as she holds up her end of the bargain. So let's take Aaron's relationship, for example, they have an agreement that they do not do that. So if he steps outside of that agreement, that's in any way, shape, or form, not just sleeping with other women, that is breaking his loyalty to her. Now, Moff, in your relationship, if you're upfront about the fact that these are your beliefs, that men should act on their biological urges, and you find you a woman that is like, yes, I understand the male brain. That is okay. I get it. I'm with you. As long as you do X, Y, Z, then boom, you're compatible. But what you're talking about is it okay for a man to be disloyal to his woman and be disloyal on his word, whether it's sex, whether it's paying for a meal for another woman, whatever it is. And that's what's wrong. And on top of that, I personally disagree with the idea that a man acting on all of his urges just because he has urges is okay. You should be able to be disciplined. In the same way that a woman might want to slap her man across the face. If you have an urge to hit your man across the face, you probably shouldn't do that. You should probably discipline yourself in that moment.
How is that the same thing?
You have an urge to do that. Because
that's
you're talking about
apples and oranges.
urge.
Not even
you're talking about urges that you have based on emotion, which comes from
You're
hormones.
talking about a sexual urge versus a violent urge. What are we talking about?
Okay, do men not have violent urges?
They're passionate.
Men are
it's a
wired to be
passionate
violent.
urge.
Passion.
Yep.
Passion.
Are we talking about violence now, or are we talking about sexual impulses and sex drive?
They're similar.
No, they are.
Oh no! One of these causes damage.
Hold on. No. I have to back things up. I have to say this again, and then I'll address this because this is just going off the rails and this is just getting ridiculous. I'll say it for the second time because I don't think that you heard me when you were talking, Natalie. You're inputting your own narrative and you're making up a story to input it in the video that we watched. You are saying like this girl has an open relationship. Clearly they have an agreement and a discussion and they had this discussion and all this. None of that was evident or clear or given in the video by this woman. So the fact is you are making this up to sort of fit some sort of narrative and saying that's what she's talking about.
Okay,
you got a woman on the panel, so you can't do that.
So then
and again, no. I got to keep going.
Disregard the video in this moment.
Regardless, even if we're disregarding the video, even if we're going back to the video, you did. I already explained this to Camila, so I don't know. I guess you weren't listening. Why is it okay? Why is it a requirement for a man? Hold on. You guys got to stop interrupting. Why does the man have to have discipline and shut down his impulses and do the right thing, be a real man, whatever shaming language and tactic you want to import onto this conversation, where I can't turn to you and say, go date a loser, have discipline, stop chasing guys that go fuck a guy with a dad bod, have some discipline, have some control over your sex drive and who you want to sleep with. Go do the right thing and do the logical choice. There's a billion men out there that are not getting laid, that don't have women. Why don't you go be one? Why don't you use your logical brain? If you're so encouraging men and women to be together and you're so about making relationships better and making relationships great again, why don't you be the example and stop going after the high class guy or the high guy with the six pack? Why don't you settle with a dad bod? Do you see how ridiculous that sounds?
I am the example.
How do you not see how it's the exact same thing?
Oh my God,
How
Camila.
do you not see how it's the exact same comparison?
Because
the same drive that makes you want a guy with the six pack and makes you want a guy that's better than you, makes more money, that is your biological imperative for mating.
Okay, I'm going to break it down like this because we're not going to see eye to eye. We disagree on this. You want to convince everybody that cheating is okay, and we don't agree. And
that's not what I said.
No, that's not what he said.
You got to answer the question now.
That is not what he said.
I'm trying to. I can't even get a minute in.
That's not what he said, though. That's not what he said.
Let her go, Casey Marie. Let her go. Let her go. Let her go.
Okay, I'm going to break it down in a different way. If you're coming into a committed relationship, a long-term, a covenant with each other, we are designed to complement each other. That's why we're both there. You're not entering the relationship from a place of selfishness. It's not about how can I do as much as I want and get away with it while not losing her. It should be about serving the other person.
You're making things up again, Natalie.
I'm making a point. That's what
You're
I'm
not
here to do.
I asked you a question. Why aren't you answering the question?
I did.
Why are you
I said
taking
I
us on a
disagree.
tangent?
You asked me a yes or no question.
What?
I said no.
No, I didn't. You weren't even listening. It wasn't even a yes or no question.
Ask a new question then. Ask a new question.
No, I'm going to ask
What's
the
your
same
question?
question. I'm hopefully that you can answer it this time. Holy shit. The same mechanism that makes a guy want to spread seed and want variety, his natural mating imperative, I'll break it down. A man's natural mating strategy is unlimited access to unlimited women. It's spreading seed far and wide. It's variety. It's multiple. It's as many as he could possibly get, okay? A woman's mating strategy is hypergamy. It's settle down and be monogamous with and have kids with the most high status, high powered guy that she can possibly get and she can possibly lock down. Both of those are biological impulses that come from the same place. Are we clear? Can we agree on that so far?
100%.
Sure.
Okay.
What do you mean, sure? 100%.
We can agree with that so far. It's okay. It's fine. It's all right.
That's what it is.
Only one of those we're only telling one side of that equation that they need to have discipline and they need to quash their instincts and we need to not act upon our instincts. Only men were telling you need to have discipline. You need to not run around. You need to be monogamous to only me. You need to have sex with just me and nobody else. But we're not turning around and saying women, instead of trying to go for the guy with the dad bod or without the dad bod, the six pack, the money, the status, hypergamy. If I told you, have discipline, Natalie, go date the fat broke guy. Be disciplined, because guess what? There's a lot of men out there that are fat and broke and they need love. And if you're so concerned about relationships working out between men and women and bringing people together, then why aren't you being the shining example? Why aren't you being disciplined in dating and settling down with a loser? Why is it okay for you to go after your imperative of high shelf, high quality guys, and it's not okay for a guy to spread his seed far and wide?
I can actually say that and vouch for that because no one should ever be like no one of us should be able to be in that position to lower ourselves to that. Like, that's just denigration.
Natalie,
Okay.
I would like an answer.
Natalie?
Then we're going to bring Rich in.
I think that there's an underlying assumption that living by your biological desires is also right.
But you're
So-
also aware that everything that he said is correct, right? Because it is.
doesn't require
Casey Marie,
me-
I just want to get her answer on this. I appreciate you, but I gotta let her know.
It doesn't require me discipline to lower my standards and date someone who is less capable of being a good man. That doesn't take discipline for me. Now, what does take discipline, to our point earlier, if there's a lot of really hot, rich guys, it takes me discipline to not want to sleep with all of them or to not want to date multiple guys at one time.
Then here's a different word, Natalie. You're getting caught up in the semantics.
So
You're
you're
getting
a
caught up in the
slut?
semantics. Then don't use the word discipline. Whatever word
Yeah.
you want to use, change
Yeah.
your
Oh, that-
behavior.
that's the word that you're using.
Change your
It's not
behavior
the
and
word.
go against
It's
that's
not
the
the
word that women are using to men. What I'm saying is whatever adjective or whatever noun you want to use that's not discipline, what I'm telling you to do is, why won't you date a loser? Why won't you date a loser? Why will you only date the hot guy? Why won't you lower your standards and date losers?
I won't date a loser because I don't.
Because it goes against your
I'm
natural
not gonna date a
biological
loser because
imperative to find a
I'm
good
not a
guy that
loser.
can take care of you. Yes, because you want to date a guy that's better than you. That's your biological imperative. That's the female dating strategy at play. Do you not see what's happening here?
Again, it goes.
Can I also say,
I
like-
understand the way that you're trying to break down this logic, but I disagree with the fact that just because a biological urge exists, that you should allow it inside of your relationship. I disagree. But there might be women who feel differently than
Natalie,
me, and that's
you
the
do
woman that
this
should
every
look for.
day.
It goes back
The
to
way that
loyalty
you
on
date
your
men,
word.
your mating strategy and the way that you date men is at play every single day. It is a natural imperative. You're making it a moral argument. You're making it a moral argument. It's not a moral argument. No, it's not. It's not a moral argument.
Yes,
it's not a moral argument. This is it's not a moral argument. All right, everybody shut up. I'm bringing Rich in.
You also have a mating strategy for how you find women.
Correct, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's the point. You're shaming one side, you're shaming the men's mating strategy.
Okay, so then if you're right,
shame the woman.
If you're right, then you finding like the best woman that you can find. If you're right, then
that's not the thing. That's not the men's strategy. That's not the men's mating strategy.
That is not.
How do you have a fucking dating podcast?
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
What did I miss?
Oh Lord, you missed so much.
I'm about to have to sign
And
off.
Lord.
The big thing we're on right now is talking about tolerance of cheating right now. We just went over that clip.
Yes, Moff wants all of us to agree with him, and we don't, so we're here.
I think one of the big things here is that
you're unable to.
I agree with him.
One of the big things here is Natalie keeps bringing up is kind of the difference between what is and what ought. And I think Natalie keeps trying to support the point that like cheating isn't what ought to be, is what she's really trying to say. And the big thing that we want to talk about here is that like this is what actually happens a lot of the time. And with high status guys who have a lot of options, they will cheat and they'll still come back to the same woman. And there are a lot of women who will totally be okay with it because their needs are getting met as well. And it's not as much about what ought to be, what should happen. It's about like what actually is biology and what often does happen and why it happens.
Got it.
Rich?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't catch the whole show, but I mean, you're going to have a hard time getting women to publicly agree with these facts of life because it's not to their favor, right? It's rare that you're going to get that public agreement. Like I caught the clip that you put up on the video of the street interview, and I think it was Angie that was just like, yeah, whatever, who cares? And the vast majority of them were sort of pushing back on it. But you know what women say and talk about publicly in these podcasts versus what they'll agree to when the camera's off and there's nobody around and it's just the two of them are two different situations. And it's also very dependent on the guy too. But I'm guessing by this point the viewers are probably like, okay, can we go on to something else?
But Rich, really quick, that's not the point that's being made. It's not about agreeing with them. It's about we're talking about the fact that it's okay to tell men to have discipline and you need to put away your natural mating strategy and you need to not act on what you were born and bred and hardwired to do. But it's perfectly okay for women to do it. And we seem to not be able to reconcile that.
Yeah, you're not going to get through to them on that because it's like they're not going to.
That is.
It doesn't serve. But hear me out for a sec. But what Moff's saying here is that it doesn't serve your agenda, so you don't want to agree with it. But as long as you get what you want out of the relationship and out of men, then that's what you're gonna lean into. Like he was talking about women's natural inclination towards being with higher value, higher status, hypergamous fulfillment is something that you're never going to shut off. And it's the same way that guys really are never going to shut off looking at other women.
But one's okay and one's not.
But there's also more important things than a guy stepping out for a day. Who cares? Like, there's bigger things out there,
Right.
Like, if you have a family, there's family you got to take care of, Your relationship is more important than just one night. So what?
Well, it's always surprising how many women will walk away from a man. I think KC talked about this the other week where she broke up with a guy because he was going to strip joints, and I just caught a little bit of her.
Broke up with me.
Yeah, like I caught a little bit of the elaboration on that, but it's always interesting that women will break up with a guy because they might do something or might potentially do something. But then what's your next plan? You move on to an ex guy that maybe doesn't love you as much, will probably do the same thing anyway. You just move from one dick to another dick sort of thing. Like, what's the plan? Like, Like, where do you stop with all of this?
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
So I feel like the reason why I might think this way so adamantly is because even though I have in my life had a crush on, like, let's say, like what you would call like the alpha male of the school. Like I remember in middle school there were like these two twins, and every single girl in the entire middle school had a crush on these two because they were just like
Okay.
really attractive, right? And I had a crush on them. Never got to talk to them or anything. I just kind of like liked how they looked, right? But for example, with my boyfriend, I didn't like him from like the first glance. Because like when girls get a crush like that on like a guy that's like real, you know, hot, attractive, like this man, right? It's like first glance you're already like, oh my God, look at that man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I started liking my current boyfriend, it wasn't a first glance. I'm like, oh my God, look at him. Honestly, like he would be the kind of person, it sounds bad, but it's just like true. Like he'd be the kind of person that every girl in high school would say he was weird. But you know,
I really hope he's not in the same room and can't hear this.
he knows this. It's
I hope
fine.
that
It's true.
It's live. He's watching right now.
He's watching.
Yeah, but
He's watching. But
Camilla,
the thing
that's something that you should never admit to him.
Oh my God.
But it's true. I was weird too. Let me tell you. There's a reason why I could not get the guy that was the hottest guy in the school. Okay, I was
Got
a
it.
weirdo
And I
too.
think I understand that. I mean, it's pretty
pigtails
obvious.
in high
But
school.
okay,
But the thing is that if
the
you're,
last
I
thing
understand
your boyfriend, your man, wants to hear is that you're his second choice. That you would have thrown
he
yourself
was
at one of
not
the
my
twins.
second choice.
And well, it sounds like he was
He
because you
became
never
my
looked at this guy
first
twice.
choice as soon as I actually had a conversation with him, because I started liking him not because he was a top Chad, not because he was the quarterback of the football team. I liked him because when I had a conversation with him, I found him charming and I thought he was like really nice, really cool. We got along really well. And here's the thing, I completely understand the concept of if you're a woman that wants the six-figure salary, the chiseled abs, the extremely desirable man with like an entire like stadium of women craving him. I understand that if you're a woman that wants that, right? Expecting that man to be faithful to you is honestly stupid because there's obviously a correlation between that and like a high sex drive, desire
Correct.
for variety. Like that is
Correct.
obviously like duh, right?
Yeah.
But
If you want a
if
loyal
you're
man, get a man without options. Absolutely.
well, the thing is not just without options, right? But you cannot like if you want what I want most in a man is love and loyalty. Love
Sure.
and loyalty.
Yeah. So get a man without
not gonna
options. Then.
look I'm not gonna look for eye candy and then expect love and loyalty because that would be
Perfect.
stupid. You have to look for someone who you get along great with. And don't get me wrong, I think my boyfriend looks really good. He looks really good to me. I love him. I'm very attracted to him. I think he's the hottest guy on earth for me, right? For me, though. And that should be, I feel like in a similar way, that's how it should work. Like, you have to get, you have to be smart. You can't just get the hottest guy in the world and then expect and hold him to a standard that, like, is unlikely. Now, don't get me wrong. There might be one dude, but it'll be one dude out of, like, maybe 500 dudes that will actually be loyal, right?
How old are you?
I'm 22.
And he's also 22.
He's 24.
And is he your first?
Yes.
Good for you. I'm
It's
glad
been
you
7
feel that way.
years. It's been 7
Good for
years.
you.
We're doing good.
This is a situation that I've surveyed with my audience before, and it's the leading contributor to successful long-term marriages. That situation right there. I hope that your position doesn't change and you don't view him differently as
Me
time
too.
goes on, and he
Me too.
continues to pursue excellence and put a dent in the universe and do his thing. But you know, what you said is relatively true. Never tell him that you know you never looked at him the way that you looked at the twins.
Yeah,
Okay?
don't say that.
It's understandable. I feel like it's I feel like it's the same way with me too. I mean, obviously, like he was like a guy. I was like his first true girlfriend. He was probably like, you know, immediately like when he found out I liked him, he was like, yes, which is fine. But like I was like that too when I found out he liked me back. It's just like it's a visual thing. Visual is like stupid. Like for example, when me and my boyfriend are out together and a girl passes by and she has a giant rack, okay? A giant rack, okay, huge boobs. If he looks at her tits, I'm not gonna just be like, how dare you look at her tits? It draws your eyes to them, right? It's normal to look. It's like, what are you gonna do? I look with
Even
him.
you will.
I look at the tits and then I look at him and he's looking at them too. And we're like, all right, those were huge tits, dude. Like that was crazy. Like that happens to us all the time. But I'm not gonna like, tell him, oh, how dare you look at them? Like it's just what happens. Like if you get a guy that tends to look for
It's natural.
that sees a woman and then he sees her and then he's not just like looking at her like, oh wow, she was hot. But he's also like, if you like, it's just like don't expect the expected. Like don't just like.
Got it. So I mean, you're stating the obvious here. Okay, so I just want to be respectful of the show's time and everything, and make sure that we don't capitalize.
Yeah.
Moff, what else you guys got?
Yeah.
I don't think I had much, man. We're starting to run a little bit low here, but I didn't want to beat this.
I only caught the tail end of it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We went through some of this stuff. He talked about. I don't know how much time we have left. Like, I'm trying to see if he had much more stuff written down, but I know Spencer had.
Do
some
the ladies
clips.
have any questions for the guys on the panel?
Well,
I have a
Camila,
question.
you're a queen as fuck, and Natalia, tú también. Like,
Dale.
you guys are. I don't know what you're doing.
Casey's been crushing this whole time.
She's
giving compliments left and right.
Yeah.
Jada, what was up?
There's some questions for the audience. There's some supers that we gotta get to. So maybe that.
Like we're here.
Jada said she had a question too.
Yeah, go ahead, Jada.
Well, because I would actually like to, y'all said our opinion, but I would actually like to understand a little bit more on why that is a man's natural, like what does that do for the man specifically when he goes out and has sex with multiple women? Just to understand a little bit more without arguing.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, where that comes from, it comes from evolution. It comes from thousands, millions of years building up what humans are today. Modern society is a tiny little blip in that window. So most of your desires, what you're attracted to, that comes from evolution.
Yeah, nothing.
Because women, hold on, I'm getting to it. Because women are the one who bear the child, they hold the child for a long time. And it suits women best in an evolutionary strategy to lock into one man and have resources for that one man. The thing is that one man can go get multiple women pregnant at the same time. And so evolutionarily, it's going to be a better strategy for him to seek out multiple women.
Yeah.
Okay, so then...
But I think we're talking about more in modern and mainstream and what the actual practical application of this and how this makes sense.
Yeah.
And so you can take they've, I don't know if it was research or exactly what it is, but they take guys that have multiple wives, for example, and they look at their sexual satisfaction between the two of them or the three of them or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, like, he's like, yeah, on day one, I spend it with wife number two. I spent 2 or 3 days with wife number one. She starts to get a little bit boring. I'm not really enjoying it. And then I go hang out with wife number two. I'm like, oh, I'm really, really into it. And then, I get bored after a couple of days and then I go back to wife number one. It's like, oh, I'm really, really into her again. It's like, even she was the same woman that I was sleeping with 5-6 days ago. But the reset and that variety and being able to go out and do that's what it actually, like, for a lot of guys, it keeps their women desirable to them. That freedom and ability to step out so they can achieve that variety. It's like a reset. It's almost like just doing a reset of the PlayStation or whatever, where it's, as opposed to, it's like anything. Would you like it's like eating steak every single night for 7 nights? Doesn't sound as good as having steak one night and then maybe again on Friday night or whatever it is, right? So that variety with anything is this, it's the same sort of variety that you get. It's why you don't eat the same dinner every single night or eat the same dessert or whatever like that. That's kind of how it's practically applied.
And there was another study that looked at people, like both men and women, that stepped out of their relationship. So they were married and then they stepped out to go have sex somewhere else. And when they looked at the women, they noticed that a majority of those women ended up falling into romantic relationships with the man that they stepped out with. Over 70% of them actually reported lower satisfaction levels in their original relationship after stepping out. When they looked at the men, however, that correlation, they looked at the same correlation, it was zero. The men did not change their feelings for the original woman after stepping out. And so if a man does step out of the relationship, he can still come back with the same emotional feelings, the same commitment to you from a resources perspective and being in a relationship with you. But when a woman steps out, most of the time she's ready to leave.
Okay.
Okay, wait, question.
Yeah.
You really do believe what you just said? Can you repeat that?
Do I believe it? Yes.
Yeah, can you repeat that, please? Because
What part?
when you said like men are willing to just give up type thing when women are not. I really
Hold on, I'm hearing a lot of typing right now.
because I feel like it's true. I feel like that is so true.
So
When a
men
man gives up, he gives up 100%.
Sorry, what do you mean?
When a man gives up, he gives up 100%.
What do you mean by gives up?
You just said something that like literally
If a man steps out of the relationship, he's still willing to come back to the relationship and be committed to you. Even though he had sex outside of the relationship, it doesn't affect his commitment towards you. But when a woman steps out and has sex outside of the relationship, she's done with the relationship already. She's ready to leave.
I agree.
I'll put it to you this way, Casey, just so you understand it, because the first thing that a woman will normally ask a guy if she discovers this, if the embarrassment ensues, if it's something that's really pressing for her, is, did you love her? Right? That's the first thing you want to know, because for women, it's always an emotional connection.
Yeah.
Because throughout history, throughout evolution, if you lost a high-value man that was a provider, that was a protector, that could go out and get the food and conquer villages, that would be a real problem for you. Right? But for a guy, what do they want to know? Did you fuck him?
Yeah.
They don't really care if you loved him. They want to know, did you do it with him? How many times did you do it with him? Did you orgasm? They want to know all the details about that, because they're concerned with paternity fraud. Because when a woman gets pregnant, she knows that child is hers.
Paternity fraud. What is that?
I'm going to explain it to you. Because when a woman gets pregnant, she knows that child is hers. 100%, right? There's no doubt in your mind.
Right.
But when a woman gets pregnant, a man does not know that child is his.
Exactly.
So that's why he wants to know, did you have sex with him? A woman wants to know from a man, did you love her? It's a totally different game. And that's what these gentlemen are trying to explain to you ladies tonight on the panel, is that you all have a hard time understanding the male perspective because of your solipsism. You have difficulty understanding the male mind because you apply the same logic that you use to the same situation.
Well, honestly, I'm not trying to apply the same logic, but I know the logic.
But you can't help it. I get it.
Well, I grew up with like two brothers. You know what I mean? My cousins were all guys. I've been growing up with men my whole life. So
yeah, I can tell, of course.
I'm trying to be more feminine, and it's a fight for me because I want to be feminine. Like, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like all these feminists as bitches. Like, there's some things that people say right now that I don't like. You know what I mean? But I don't want to be like them. Like, I'm a very conservative woman.
Well, here's a bit of advice. Stop getting tattoos then.
I was about to get a new one, actually.
It's not a very conservative move to get tattoos all over your bodies. And most men, believe it or not, do not like it.
Conservative. That's fine. If they don't like me, that's cool. Well,
then you're pricing yourself out of the dating market. I think that's a really bad approach that women take all the time, is if they don't like me, that's cool. If I'm too fat, that's cool. If I'm too tatted up, that's cool. I'll find somebody else. And you're probably right to some degree. You probably will find somebody else, but you're limiting your dating pool. You're limiting your access to the higher, more valuable men that women typically pine for by doing things that they don't like.
That makes sense.
So I think that it's incumbent upon women to change that view, that opinion, and position themselves in a way. Like, how do you attract bees? You want to get bees with honey. You want to attract flies, give them shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to highlight in a way a comment I saw that brought my attention. I thought he made like an interesting point. He said, like to what I was saying of if what you look for in a man is like loyalty, then like you have to look for someone that is not like the alpha or like the Chad, right? And they said like, oh, like that's just admitting to settling down, like settling with like lower, like a lower value man or something. But here's the thing, like you find, I think, because they were trying to say, I think like, oh, like she just admitted that she had to like settle down with like a lower male or something. That's terrible. And it's like, he's not a lower male to me. It's just being smart. Like, just because, like, I don't care if the society thinks that my boyfriend is not the Chad. I don't care about that because he's my Chad, right? Like,
okay, but I don't believe you because you're trying to argue with a comment and defend your position.
Mommy.
Well, it's like if he like I believe in it like this. If he like got like paraplegic tomorrow, I'd stay with him. If he like committed a crazy crime, we even talked about this recently for some reason. Like you'd have to like be a serial killer for me to think like I'd have to leave you, right? Like this is like I found the guy that's like for me. Like I don't want the guy that's like if you want, I don't know. It's just like I don't see it as settling as like settling with lower.
Here's the thing, Camilla, because at this point you've satisfied your hypergamous nature. I hope that continues to be satisfied for the rest of your life. That you still hold that same position and that it never changes. Because that's how you feel right now. That's how you feel right now. I hope that you continue to feel that way 30, 50, 70 years down the road for them.
Me too. But what is hypergamous?
It just means you've reached the top. You found the guy that every other guy on the planet. It's all we've been talking about. Like when finding the guy and everybody else is invisible to you. And you're absolutely right. This is actually what hypergamy really is. It's not about what everybody else thinks. Even though let's not kid ourselves. We know based on preferences and who gets laid and who gets married and who gets women and who doesn't, what women like in men. So it's not this, it's whatever I think is Chad. But to your point, the only thing that matters in a woman's brain in terms of hypergamy is if she believes that's the best man she can get. She may be able to get a better man. She might be able to get somebody else better objectively on a scale with money, income, body, smarts, whatever. But it doesn't matter if she thinks that's the guy. That's what Rich is saying is that the most important thing is that is maintained, and that's going to come from the guy that you're with continuing to do the work, continuing to level up, continuing to have ambition, increase his income, stay in good shape, continue to lead the relationship. Everything we talked about the first time you came on. So it behooves him. So right now, if your boyfriend is watching this, he has to understand that he has exactly what billions of men on the planet want. He's got a girl that's crazy about him, doesn't look at any other guys, and sees him as the best goddamn thing she can get. But it's incumbent on him, and it behooves him. He has got to continue to improve always, and he cannot rest. He has to continue to always do the things that he's doing to get you, to keep you.
Of course. And it's also like,
let me ask you this question, Camilla. Let me just stop you for a second and ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you need to do to keep him around?
Yeah, I have to fulfill my role.
Which is what?
That's a good question.
Sexual activity. Be there for him at all times. Not go out and like dress skimpy. I like cooking.
It's really three things. I'm glad that you have culinary skills because that's very useful to a guy. But
I love cook.
but the three things are essentially never disrespect the man. Disrespect is going to lead you towards the end of the relationship. Never disrespect this man. Be useful in his life, and it's not just give him sex. It's give him the most mind-bending sex that you'll never give to anybody else.
We try.
You want to keep a man around, ladies? This is how you do it.
No, yeah, I agree. Because if like that sex drive, it has to be met. That way, he doesn't want to look for the thrill anywhere else.
Correct.
But yeah, I really do have like a very strong opinion also on like going out, like clubbing, like all that stuff. Like I definitely understand like the whole idea of like a woman not doing that. I mean, makes sense.
Well, that's what single women do, right?
It's respect. It's mutual respect. Like genuinely.
Right. Moff, I'm gonna bounce, man. I don't want to infringe on your time.
It's all good. No, we're
you guys all have a good night.
These...
I just want to pop in for a bit. See you guys later.
All good. Yeah. No, I think we're gonna get the rest of these supers and we're gonna start to wrap up. So this is a question for Jada. Christianity Unplugged asks if she's ever read up on Dalrock. It's a good resource for traditional Christian red pill, forgotten part of the red pill. So if you're looking for some more resources, that could be a good person to research. DALROCK. Let me get this one first before we get to Kiz's question. Natalie, on female adult workers, the vast majority are psychologically damaged. They're seeking anyone who can give them a psychological impulse, like a drug addict. They're rarely stoic in the profession. I don't know what we were talking about there in terms of OnlyFans or anything like that. But this is the last question for the panel before we're going to start to wrap up. Question to the ladies, and be honest, would you rather be a peasant's wife or a king's mistress? Adultery is the purest form of betrayal and traditionally was non-negotiable, but today it's glorified. Okay, I don't know what the adultery comment's about, but essentially we're going back to what we said. You know, this is a little bit of a different spin, but it's basically there's a prevailing sentiment that, and we see this play out in reality, that women would rather share a high-value man than be saddled with a loser who's faithful to her. So I just want to go around and get the ladies' thoughts on that. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And why? Angie, let's start with you.
Has to be the extreme, huh?
Oh, yeah. Those are your only two choices. Because think about it. If this was 500 years ago, that was your only options. You got to be with the king or you're with a peasant farmer. They didn't have middle class back then. That didn't exist.
I would rather be the mistress.
Why?
If I'm gonna have kids that have better opportunity in the future, and I can deal with my emotion, I'm all right with that. I'll be okay. But I have better future, better life, better problems. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Jada, what about you?
Sorry, I can't hear Moff for some reason. I can hear everyone else.
Everybody else hear me?
Really?
Yeah. Audio dropping out.
We hear you good.
Okay. You'll just have to repeat the question for Natalie.
Yeah, I'll just repeat it.
Yeah.
I would say the king's mistress, just because there were peasant farmers that had multiple wives too. So I'd rather have a nice cushiony place to sleep, I guess. That might be my answer.
So monogamy, when it's, as long as there's a house and there's clean sheets and beds and all that, but that's more important than monogamy in this case. Having money, better opportunities for children, being able to live in a nice house, not being poor, right? So I mean, that's more important than sexual exclusivity, it sounds like. Yes?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Just curious. Just asking. Yeah. Okay. Camila.
Obviously, the poor man. I don't know. I just value loyalty that much. I'm willing to put up with hardship. I don't care. It's also like, how many times? I mean, as a Latina, I don't know, but like, how many times do you hear like your grandma tell you a story about how all the aunties and grandmas had a proposition from the richest man in their town, and they could have had the life of luxury, but guess where they're at? With your grandpa, and he wasn't the richest man. That happens often. It's not obviously like aligned with women's instincts, but it's kind of like what you said. It's discipline. It's like, okay, you want loyalty, then you have to get a man that will be loyal, not like the guy that won't be. The king won't be, probably. Highly likely that he won't be.
Well, again, if you're a mistress, he's not loyal to you. A mistress means you're not the wife.
Yeah.
Mistress just means you're the side chick.
I forgot about that. I was thinking for some reason of like concubines, because concubines are kind of married.
You're the side chick. You're not the queen. You're the side chick. And he's not giving you kids. He's living in the house.
I'm gonna be that poor man's queen.
Okay. Aaron, what about you?
I could never be the side chick, like, ever. So I would pick the peasant for sure. I could never share my man with anyone. Like, so I would.
Do women understand what being a peasant actually meant? Like, no running water,
I can't
no
do
electricity,
it. So
dirt
you
floor, a roof.
I just can't.
A roof.
I can't.
Hold on, Casey.
Homeless, basically.
You're living. You're on a dirt floor.
Yep.
You have a roof that doesn't work. You can hardly afford food. You're eating gruel every day. You're basically homeless. I know. And in this scenario, you're choosing essentially homelessness over living in a king's house and just sharing him with his wife.
It seems like you're kind of trying to funnel me towards a certain answer.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure.
I love that you're trying to do that, but I'm like, I would never
I'm just
share
making
my
sure
man.
you
I
understand.
could not.
I'm making sure you understand the gravity of the choice that you're making.
Well,
because
here's the
being
thing.
being a peasant is not the same as being. There's low class Section 8 housing that you still live better than a peasant in the 15th century, 16th century.
Of course.
So as long as we're on the same page, like there's nobody alive today that's living worse than a peasant was 500 years ago.
She's choosing the dirty ground under the bridge.
You're kind of implying that like being the mistress is better. That's kind of what I'm getting from this.
Probably
I'm saying.
I'm
saying.
No.
I mean, but if there are only two options and they're both these extremes, right? And there's no middle class, there's no middle ground, and you seem to be you know what I mean? Like,
So that's an environment that you're going to bring. You're going to bring up kids in that environment. You think that's a conducive area for kids to be brought up in a raise a family?
Well, I don't think that bringing kids in an environment where the thought of like my husband sleeping with other people makes me feel like I want to vomit. Like it makes me feel sick. Like I could never deal with that. So yeah, I would choose like the peasant life and the monogamy if I only had those choices.
But Mom, listen to this.
Casey, you have the same answer then?
That's just me, not for everyone, but that's just how I roll, I guess.
No, 100%. If my guy does that, yes, I will go voluptuous, but it is what it is. There are men. And that's what, like, I think it took me so long for me to understand that. Like, they're just gonna do whatever they're gonna do, bro. Regardless, you know?
Yeah.
We're here as women.
Okay.
No, we're here. And I was with my guy and I wanted to give him kids, you know, but it didn't work. And I'm the type where it's just like, you know, take them all and voluptuous, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, I don't know. Life, I think, is taking us on different plays right now, but I think it's just about being strategic. Yes, as a woman, you don't want to disrespect yourself, and I don't want to disrespect myself because I'm like over here, like with a guy, I'm waiting for him. I'm not gonna wait for him forever,
right?
You know. But if he doesn't want it, if he wants to keep going to strip clubs, if that's his thing, that's fine. You know, like.
Well, maybe this is your sign that you should have a conversation. You guys could talk about the future and potentially reconcile. Maybe this is what you needed to realize that. Or maybe not.
Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, we'll see.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I wish I had something.
Yeah.
Natalie.
Finish it off with Natalie. Just to restate the question, it was, hold on. It was, would you rather be the peasant's wife or would you rather be the king's mistress?
Yeah, I kind of resonate with what Aaron said. It is kind of a silly hypothetical question, but I would
It's not that
choose
silly.
Well, I think it is.
You have two options.
I'm saying, but like
Like-
the two, this is a realistic scenario that you would have been faced with 500 years ago.
If we weren't lucky enough to be born in today's age.
So it's not like it's not like it's
answer that
out completely
question,
out to
girl.
lunch.
That's it.
Come
Yeah, I
on.
agree with what you just said. That's exactly why I think it's silly. But I'll tell you why I would choose the peasant, because the peasant like at least has room to improve his life. Or let's put it in today's terms, if you're someone who's making 50K, you at least have room to improve your life. And I'm assuming there's going to be children in this scenario. I would rather raise my children with someone who there's a mom and dad in the same home versus being someone's like secret mistress, despite all the money and jewels that may come with that. So that's my stance, and I'm gonna wait for a guy who feels the same way.
Natalie, you can't help but add. You can't help but add your own things to the story.
Just so you
You
know,
can't
you're
help but
Let
add
Jada
your
speak.
own things to the story.
Well, I live life by my own rules, so yes, that is
Yeah,
fine.
but like that's why this question doesn't work, because if you can make up whatever the scenario is and answer it, then it's really easy to not be honest about it. But that's
Because
okay.
you're a man.
I answered honestly.
Because you're a man.
Yeah, but you didn't answer the question. Like you're making things. It's like, oh, like, well,
He
I mean, if we were gonna
answered
like,
your question.
but we're talking like, no, if you were a peasant, you were doomed to be a peasant. There's no peasantry. There's no college. There's no university where you can better yourself. Like you're a peasant. You're a farmer. That's your future.
Yeah.
That's it. The peasant doesn't become the king.
Have you ever seen that show, The 100?
No, I can't say that I have. All right.
No?
On that note, we're gonna wrap that up. Me and Spencer are gonna do some housekeeping. Ladies, we're gonna pull everybody out. What a show. A lot of fun for returning guests. As always, you're invited back on. Had a great time. I gotta go get my blood pressure checked after this. But I had a good time. I had a good time.
I want to say one thing, and it's short.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing, and it's short.
No. Go ahead.
You might not know,
I doubt it'll
Ma.
be short, Camila.
Sex in that hut might be crazy, Ma.
Oh my god.
Sex with that
There you
king
go.
might be whack as hell.
Gonna get crazy.
Yeah. You and your UTI and the dirty dick. Yeah. All right.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That UTI was great.
God damn.
All right. Thank you, ladies.
Having sex in the
Appreciate it.
goddamn
Thank you
pig
very
pen.
much. My goodness, we're gonna remove everybody here as we start to wrap this up. Oh my God, what a motley crew. Jesus H. Christ. Guys, that's it. I'm spent 2 hours and 40 minutes, 2 hours and 42 minutes. Tomorrow, Rich is going to be doing a show, 12 o'clock noon Eastern on, we talked about this a little bit tonight, step parents, stepchildren, things like that. I'll be doing Moff Hours on Thursday. I still haven't figured out a topic yet, but I'm always willing to, be open and listen if you guys have suggestions. So a lot of cool things happening and a lot of cool changes are going to be coming in the next couple weeks, I would say, to our community, and a lot of awesome things that I'm working with guys like Spencer and Rich and a lot of the guys on our team. So really excited for the future. This is going to be a really awesome year, and we've already got huge plans going forward. So be on the lookout for some of those announcements. If you've been interested or if you're part of the community, this stuff will all make sense soon. And with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap here. Spencer, you want to say anything to people before we go?
No, just be ready for these changes. When you see it come, hop in, guys.
Right on. All right, guys, we're going to get out.